We're going to the Chengdu zone.
Let's go.
We'll see you there. And this match right here, I was watching a Chengdu match the other night, and I don't know where they're making decisions. They make these substitutions over different courses of matches, especially with their backline.
Yeah.
A lot of their players, they swap up. Sometimes they don't play the far as well against teams where you would expect them to. And this match right here, it's left us all a little bit confused coming into it.
Yes, it certainly has. I mean, you're talking about the backline as well. The addition of Nisha and Faraway, they have been played throughout the regular season, but they're not their regular backline. And yet they've been seeing, I think the Desk said it's somewhere between 70 and 80% playtime during playoffs when you're looking at their map playtime.
So much.
It is a big shift in terms of how Chengdu are approaching these playoffs, and it's caused all of our expectations to be thrown in the air a little bit. I think this game is going to be great, though. Partly because the teams have, again, conflicting styles that match up so interestingly against each other. And you've, of course, still got the back-to-back defending champions of the San Francisco Shock in the lower bracket. Anytime you see them, anytime, that is going to be a delight.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to get this game underway. So let's introduce the first team in this match, the San Francisco Shock.
The Shock are starting to feel it a little bit now, Mitch. They're starting to play that aggressive style and play aggressive as a unit.
Crack back again. This is 2020 Shock. This is championship winning Shock.
Smurf, what a performance! The primal rage of 2 kills. Joy Yobin, what is that?
The Shock, this could be their tournament to ascend back to previous form.
While again living the life of the DPS player on the Baptiste, they look extremely well oiled.
Oh, you madman!
That is ridiculous! That is actually ridiculous! You have got to be joking.
The Shock are ready to rumble and they're already rocking and socking.
For the San Francisco Shock, they want to keep that three-peat dream alive. The 2-time champions here to try and defend the throne, but this time from the lower bracket. It's not unfamiliar territory. They've been in this situation before in 2019, but this is a mighty adversary to try and get over in themselves. This is looking like stylistically as well. You look at this matchup on paper and you think, wow, with how much the Shock are playing these Lucio Moira compositions, these rush compositions, surely they're at a bit of a disadvantage here.
Well, that's what you would expect, but if they can increase the tempo enough behind Super, then maybe they've got a chance. That's one of the reasons why if D-God is in this starting roster. He was phenomenal when he played that final map yesterday against the Philadelphia Fusion. He came in straight off the bench and looked amazing on the Lucio and injected so much extra pace into their game. They've also been getting a lot of value off Glista's Sombra too, and the Desk was highlighting that as a big way of shutting down Chengdu and putting the pressure on their main tank Wrecking Ball.
Well, let's introduce the opponents for this match right here in the elimination rounds of the lower bracket. It's the Chengdu Hunters.
The Chengdu zone, it absolutely does exist. This could get very down and dirty.
Whoa, and the bash bash! Monk is getting so many picks!
They have rampaged. The Hunters will be desperate for revenge.
Oh, beautiful stuff from Amon!
Jinmu! Somebody stop him!
He's a monster. No one has been able to shut him down. He's a freak.
Oh my goodness, they are looking good right now. For the Chengdu Hunters, this is the best they've looked in quite some time in franchise history. They're looking to try and make a mark as well and set some history of their own by upsetting the champions, the previous champions here of the Overwatch League.
The Hunters have got a task, though. They have looked excellent so far this season. In fact, in an interview with Ants, he called them the most underrated team heading into the playoffs. So high praise from their opponents in the server today. But this squad has shown us some weird stuff in this final postseason. Leave has still looked amazing. He's always excellent. But it really is the questions around Jinmu's Pharah and the backline. They're still running with Farway 1987 and Nisha. This is not their standard backline. They've certainly played them at various different times throughout the regular season, but you usually would expect to see Monk and Eviltal in there. They can chop and change. They normally talk about Farway being the more aggressive component. We've seen him mostly come in to play Zen. And yet again in the postseason, we've seen a lot of him playing Ana. It has definitely been a different look, some slight tweaks and adjustments for the Hunters, and not all of them have paid off.
Yeah, and it has been a rocky beginning for the Chengdu Hunters in this playoffs. I mean, they've looked in the past, I think, over the course of this season, they've looked a little bit more coordinated, you know? Instead of relying on Leave almost entirely to carry some of these fights, they've been able to, you know, lean on some of the other parts. And it's not so much pressure being placed on Leave to really clutch up some team fights, and more so, you know, they've got the entire team working as a cohesive unit. Lijiang Tower, that is the map that we're going to be heading towards.
Yep, it's Chengdu Hunters' pick as the higher seed, and coming into today, Bren, I mentioned it earlier, but the higher seed had always won in the 2021 postseason, or rather in the playoffs right now. So that got broken in the Gladiators Atlanta game.
It did.
And there are a lot of thoughts from the desk, from the Turtles, etc., that it could get broken again in this match. I think we've got a pretty even game on our hands, and a lot of it is going to come down to map selection, trying to focus on getting the best value out of your style possible, and the big questions about Chengdu of whether they're going to be able to find the right counter comps to break San Francisco. My biggest question here as we head into Lijiang: are the Shock going to be opting into Reinhardt-centric comps, which open up the opportunity for Jinmu to play Pharah, or are they going to play the zombie comp with Violet playing Moira, and Super playing Winston? It looks like for the moment they're opting for zombie comp, which it's much harder to play Pharah into this because you have so much extra pace with the Lucio Moira. Even if you're playing Ryan comps with a Lucio Bap, you don't tend to move around as much as when you have the extra leap and the ability to dodge damage, from the fade.
Exactly.
And the Reaper fade as well. You've got so many additional options to avoid the Pharah damage, but here he is. Jinmu is in fact playing it.
Pharah coming out. The San Francisco Shock, they know how to play this composition. They want to be taking control of the buildings just to avoid the damage that's coming their way. They're on the Reaper. I mean, he is the one who is finalizing a lot of these kills. Again, the most final blows, honestly, a lot of the time when he plays this role, and that's down to him just being the cleanup character.
He's very aggressive on it too. He was 6th out of 7 in terms of deaths, so definitely gets punished occasionally. Talking about getting punished, there goes Glister. Must have had his translocator broken.
Taken out. That's going to be Jinmu down, but it will be a res in order for it.
Violet punished.
Actually,
there's no healing.
Yeah, res actually getting denied there a little bit, but not a problem for them. Still Chengdu in control of this with the amount of damage that they're doing. With Violet going down, they're not building up that coalescence. The one ultimate they really do need to kind of break up a lot of these stalemates early on.
Yeah, both of the players that generate their ults the fastest, Glister and Violet, were the first initial picks. Okay. That is a great punish. Managing to find the pick onto Gaga. Violet was only just back in the fight with them too.
And the Shock's still in this one. FD got this entire time been healing them. They're almost equal in terms of the support ultimates. Jinmu answers back. That's going to be Violet and Choi going down. Trying to survive this one. Has built up the barrage, but that's going to be the early capture as well. A lot of damage onto Super, pushed away from them. Just need to try and at least zone him out. That's going to be now. Look at that, the sound barrier committed. FD got with the beat dropped. He wants to try and commit into this fight. Lovely management there from Choi Hyobin. Knew exactly the barrage was coming and was saving the defense matrix exactly for it. And Nero. That's a Death Blossom. 2 kills for him with Nisha and Late Young out of the picture. And Leave gone as well. One of the players that they really rely on the most to try and get the most done.
What a crucial difference in terms of how those teams played around the off-tanks. Jinmu went for his barrage because the timing was good, but they hadn't done anything to deal with Choi Hyobin. He wasn't hacked or demeched or killed, anything of the sort. And then when Nero goes in here, look at the focus on Late Young. He's hacked, taken out a mech, and then Nero can go for his ultimate. The setup is a lot better from the San Francisco Shock to make sure their player gets off a big ult.
Wait a second, flashbacks here.
Surely not.
He's looking up into the sky like he wants to try and do it. It's going to be the neutral hack though. They're just pushing forwards. The EMP push back, boot back. Nobody's been caught by it. In fact, the mines, look at this.
Violet died in coalescence. He couldn't use his fade and died to the minefield.
Again, both supports have been finished. Leave the pulse bomb on top of it. Might not have even been necessary at the end of the day. They've already got enough picks going their way. The Shock, they're going to be falling in this fight. They don't gain anything from it. They're just going to try and at least stagger this out, stall it, so they get that extra percentage. It's going to end on around 70% there.
That's not bad at all for the Shock to start things out. But with both supports dying to Gaga's minefield, that's got to feel bad. Especially because Violet was at the beginning of his coalescence. These rockets from Jinmu are pinpoint accurate. And most of the time they're aimed at the backline. There it is again.
Yep.
Oh, was that a rocket?
It was.
I think, and Farway finished it off.
Yeah,
I believe
spam damage into the damage boosted shots from Farway. That is a lovely one for them. Now, FD God obviously playing the Lucio will be able to get back to them pretty quickly here, but it just buys time. It just, again, keeps the Chengdu Hunters in control at this point for a bit longer. Now they want to go into this one. The healing coming through.
They have Nano Barrage.
Yeah, they do. Just need to be aware of this one. There it goes. Letting it loose. The Nano Boost on top of it. But that is, again, Choi eating up the damage. Just tracking this one. They need to try and bring him down. But again, Leave is causing chaos. Right into the backline, the damage being done, and that's Jinmu following up on it. This time, though, Super does take care of him, and now with the sound barrier, that's only connecting onto 3 players. The Shock think that they can clutch this one out.
There's only 3 players really left here as well. Super getting the back off.
No way.
Oh, he's trying to escape with the Translocator and just gets back to the rest of his team. This just popped his Valkyrie in the midst of all of this, and there is a responding ultimate on the other side. Violet didn't get the self-heal, and Nero is punished.
The coordination, it's mistimed. Chengdu Hunters still in control at this point. Committing the ultimates into this fight as well that just wasn't winnable for them.
Jinmu almost built up to another barrage here. Far away, 60% of his ult too. The Chengdu Hunters have taken the lead in this round. Shock, they're not close to an EMP, they're not close to really any big ultimate. Sure, Neros can find value, but they need to demech Late Young first.
Pushing forwards. They have control of the point now, can start to play it, but they are taking so much damage while all this is going on. Late Young just playing very passively, rolling around. Gaga just trying to stall this one out. It gets taken out the entire time. I'm not sure why he was trying to contest it in that fashion, but listen, that's Chengdu. You never question it. You just do as Chengdu does, and now the overtime burning. There we go. Now we see the Nano Barrage. Jinmu did not get anything from it. In fact, the Coalescence off to the side. He's hunting for it, but they don't get the kills. It's a flip of the point. 99% now for the Chengdu Hunters. They need a disengage here so they can cleanly enter the next fight.
They used so many ultimates there, though. The Nano Boost, the Barrage, the D.Va, Self-Destruct. So many tools for Chengdu to be able to win a team fight got utilized, and the Shock still have their EMP online. Glister has not been using these to flip things around. Instead, they've just been putting pressure on Gaga, on Late Young, trying to burn them down as they contest the objective. The Shock should be in a position here to get the win.
Neutral Hack has the EMP as well, and if he wanted to follow this one up, Gaga goes down. That's the overtime going now with the sound barrier. On top of it, the EMP, it connects onto Leave. Can I get any value out of it? Yes, Leave is going to go down. Round number 1 looks like it's in the books there. The San Francisco Shock answering back when it was looking very messy.
Excellent early advantage gain from the Shock too. Utilizing that tempo, and the big difference is that they bullied Gaga and Late Young. They're not particularly going for the backline. You would often expect a team that's playing this rush, dive, zombie comp to speed boost engage and just try and burn down the Ana. But Farway wasn't really the target. Instead, they were going for Gaga and Late Young, who were contesting the objective.
Oh, yeah.
And anytime Chengdu wanted to keep the point alive, they would pay for it with either a mech or the ball kill. It is so difficult for Gaga and Late Young here. They're getting hacked. They're getting a Reaper speed boosted into their face, and as soon as that mech disappears, Nero's free to go for ults like this.
Gets immense work done. Here we have it.
Still a very close round though, but this stage is not quite as good for Pharah, I would say. The sightlines, they're decent if Jinmu plays outside, but as soon as he gets indoors, he's pretty susceptible.
Look at the way the Shock are playing this one. They take the high ground, actually a split approach. A couple of the players on the ground, but just waiting around now. The point is going to start to get unlocked now, so it is Chengdu with the positioning on it. They're going to start to try and cap this one up, but the Shock now make their move. They didn't want to take too much damage early on. A hack onto Leave. Can they follow up with the damage they need? Leave right into the corner. They don't do it.
The shots?
Leave just 80-80 spamming. Nero just missing that one. If they take out Leave, the fight is done and dusted, but he survives. Another hack onto Jinmu, an opportunity though, and they dove right onto him. This time though, prioritizing the shots into the off tank, and they do get control at this point over early. Nero needs to be careful though. He's being applied a bit of damage as well, just getting shot up there by Leave, but they do take away that kill onto Gaga. It means that Chengdu lacking a bit of initiation for this.
It definitely feels like Chengdu are struggling with how to relieve pressure. As soon as one person gets attacked, there's a hack onto Nisha as well. Glister is doing a great job of hacking Gaga, hacking Late Young, and now that Jinmu has to play indoors, he's at closer range, and the Pharah and the Mercy are both viable hack targets too.
Leave has a ton of cooldowns. He has to use the recall though. Gonna blink out of the fight. They push him away for but a moment. The fight continues now. Nano boost. That's on Jinmu. He needs to try and get something done. He doesn't actually have the barrage. He hasn't built it up. He's not doing any damage. They've moved into the backline, and that's a support taken out. Jinmu though, right back in it. He is going to be rewarded. He gets the kills for his team. And a Shock steadily losing a bit of fuel in this one as well. They don't really quite have the healing when Violet gets taken out in that fashion to take this prolonged fight. Still, they want to buy as much time as possible. They're still in control of the point. Keeping this ticked up is essential for them. The committing ultimate hurt them in the past.
FD gets the sound barrier off though. There's a minefield blocking their access opportunities. Late Young hacked for a moment, hacked again actually. Incredible manual hacks from Glister.
Supers Winston right up to the top. He's completely locking them out now, just trying to chase down Nisha. Sleep Dart.
That's good.
Locks him up, but still, the San Francisco Shock are in control of this objective the entire time. It did not get flipped over. It's 80% in counting. Chengdu need to come in for something big right now. They have a nano boost available, almost ready. 97%.
Jinmu.
He's getting slightly mistimed leave with a pulse bomb. He could change things around. Choi just tracking him. What a heads-up play. Currently having a phenomenal impact across the board, but he is going to get removed, but the self-destruct takes him away from the grave anyway. Now the Coalescence in play, the heals are there. Violet just beaming them all down. It's overtime. Chengdu needs something, otherwise this is the map.
It's 99%.
Leaves
Super
down.
with a pick on Leave. That's a star player sent back to spawn. He's not going to be available for them to come out with these miracle plays. And it looks like Chengdu are just getting obliterated right now. They have no answers. Having said that, FD God's fallen and Violet is weak. If there was ever an opportunity, it would have to be earlier. They just did not have the gas to keep that one alive. And Shock with an incredible retake as soon as it looked like they were out. They walk away with map 1. Dominance.
It's a classic style that we see from Shock, where they commit the ultimates into fights that look losable. Against better teams, they get punished. We saw it when they played against the Shanghai Dragons. Ilios, I think back to that as well. The committal of ultimates that ended up losing them that first map. But this time around, Chengdu Hunters are looking like a weaker version of themselves. Not quite there with the coordination that they've had in, at least in the season that we've seen thus far. And taking that early lead in a 2-0 fashion, with Jinmu playing the Pharah as well, one of their major win conditions. It should have been set up for the Chengdu Hunters to try and win, and it just wasn't there.
Yeah, they really struggled to slow down the pace. The Hunters' composition finds value over time. Jinmu's damage and leave on the cleanup is going to be good enough if you can keep the team fight going. But the Shock increased the tempo and punished the tanks, and the Hunters were left without any answers.
Shock looking quite dangerous now in this lower bracket. Trying to go on a bit of a run of things as well, leading the series 1-0. We're going to be finding out after the break exactly how the Chengdu Hunters are going to be answering back and how they're going to be coming back into this one.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Marvelous play!
This league has spirit, pride.
Overwatch League reinvigorated my love for video games.
The 2021 Overwatch League is the culmination of everything that is good about Overwatch.
Lip's mid-air translocation in Elio.
This is fantastic from Lip.
The victory of Dallas Schul against Shanghai Dragon.
Those that burn blue, burn brightest.
One of Glister's earlier games when it was against the rain.
Troy has a bit of life to him. FDGO goes down.
Just Jinmu doing Jinmu things.
This guy is something else.
Every single team, staff member, and player has a story to tell.
This guy is so good, he has a stat named after him, the Fletter Deadlift.
描述我的话，我觉得首先是有韧性。
If Overwatch League is an anime, Sparkle is the main character.
You get to see all these amazing top players work together.
일단 저희 팀원들은 미친놈이라 생각하고요.
For many of us, Overwatch is more than just a game. It's part of our identity, part of our friendships and relationships. Getting to unite once again to celebrate the league and crown a new champion. Is there anything better?
Welcome back, everybody, to the 2021 Overwatch League playoffs. Right now, this elimination match, the Shock versus the Hunters. It's the Shock leading with a one-map lead. And yeah, some expectations, I think, from the Hunters as well, that they will be coming out swinging. They might be matching up quite well against the Shock. So far, we haven't quite seen it. They have the map pick. It's the way it works out as the losers. They get to decide where they go to, and it's Anubis.
Anubis is a bit of a weird one for me, Bren. Honestly, the Chengdu Hunters, I would expect them to try and pick maps where they can get value out of the Pharah, for example. I'd be interested in seeing them go to Hanamura. The Shock really struggled with Hanamura when they played earlier on, and it's a map where you can get great value out of the Pharah pick. Anubis is definitely Winston-centric. The Chengdu Hunters have ran ball comps here on Anubis before, and I have been tearing my hair out watching. So I hope we see this adjustment of Gaga moving over. Maybe they've got a pocket pick. We have occasionally seen teams get value out of, for example, Orisa Pharah comps on defense, so maybe they've got something special prepared here against San Francisco. We certainly saw in our earlier series that some, on paper, questionable map picks ended up going really well for one of the teams that had done a huge amount of preparation.
Yeah, we'll definitely see what they've got planned, and you are... Okay.
I said Orisa Pharah picks.
You did, yeah, a bit of pocket picks. Maybe this is what they were keeping in mind.
Yeah, I've seen the Shanghai Dragons running it. It has been a thing that occasionally teams have pulled out in the Eastern region. As for how it matches up against the Shock's composition, I mean, normally you would see on Anubis teams running Winston Ana comps to be able to find value out of a tempo nano boost. Instead, we're going to be looking at a coalescence here, and the Shock don't really have great tools to be able to deal with the Pharah. So, again, really, really interesting strategic matchups now that the meta is so wide open.
But it could still be anybody's game. The gates unlocking, the Shock on the attacking side of things. Yeah, they might opt to change up their composition after they realize what they're up against, but for the Shock, they have been leaning heavily into this exact comp, what you're seeing right now. Now, Violet was walking back to spawn for a moment, but it looks like they are going to be committing with it.
Yeah, for the Shock, it's about getting into cover, so they're going to go towards the right-hand side. Violet's taking a little bit of damage there. They're going to use the defense matrix to bubble, trying to cover the Moira's route as they get up top. And now you need to find a target. Leave is a potential target. Farway is as well, but Farway is so well defended here. What a hack!
The hack onto Nisha right now. I mean, Farway and Leiyang, they were clearing the angles, thinking Glister was somewhere else. And in that moment, when they were distracted the entire time. Shooting at nothing. Still, FDGod will fall. The Chengdu Hunters have bodies. They can potentially turn this one around, but the Shock have kind of flipped around the positioning. They have the point right now, and Violet, I mean, he's coming dangerously close to this coalescence right now. He instantly uses it. He realizes the team is falling so low. He wants to try and get value out of it, healing them all up, and look at the damage it's doing as well. Cascading one after the other. The picks go to the Shock here. Chengdu Hunters left scratching their heads.
As soon as Nisha died, that was essentially game over. Gaga tried his best to keep the objective alive, but once more punished for trying to do it.
The stagger.
And now Leiyang, I mean, he's just been left alone. The Shock are already in.
Yeah, the pace, the tempo, whatever you want to call it, the Shock are playing with everything and more. Jinmu, he has the nano boost on him, the barrage on top of it. He needs to find a kill, but he's hacked up. And that's again Choi Hyobin eating up all of that damage, completely getting rid of 2 ultimates at once. The Shock, though, they back away. They realize they're way too low to be taking this fight. It's a disengage from them. They just want to heal up and retake it again.
Shock are getting up to some good ultimates here, though. Glister has been excellent in terms of his...
Cutting them off? What's Leon doing?
Target priority.
Hacked up!
What is going on here? Gaga has used his supercharger as well.
What?
They wanted to take an aggressive engagement, I suppose,
oh,
before Glister
boy.
could get in position. There's an attempt at an EMP bomb. Doesn't quite work, though, and Violet pays for it with his life. This is one that the Shock will want back.
Yeah, it has got very messy for them. The Chengdu Hunters, whether by sheer chance or something else entirely, they dodged a lot of that EMP that went their way, and they couldn't get the picks they were looking for. That's a heavy investment with the EMP. It's a big ultimate that you want to be using to try and break what the Chengdu Hunters are running, and they've switched up their comp.
Yeah, Chengdu now running a much more meta composition. Maybe after Jinmu uses Barrage, we might see him swap over as well.
Oh my.
Sombra could be decent here.
Leave has to be pushed away. That's a Coalescence again, right off the high ground. It's coordinated, but FD God falls. Leave, what a player, what a star, man. 2 kills for him. Bob laid down as well, so they couldn't even push past that choke point. Chengdu Hunters starting to get these ults online as well, starting to get that rotation happening.
It's the range of talent he has too. He's not a Tracer one trick, but he might be the best Tracer in the league.
So aggressive.
He's not a hit scan one trick, but he's incredible when it comes to the Ashe and the Widowmaker.
Does it all.
Yeah, I do like the aggression that Chengdu are bringing to this, though. Now that they're on the Winston Ana comp, this level of aggression is really disruptive to the Shock backline. You're going to force out the fade early on. Oh, the damage boosted rocket tags Glister as he tries to return to his team. The more abilities you can force out of the Shock early, the more impotent their composition becomes. And then you've got your ult cycle that starts to come online with Farway getting the nano boost, and Gaga can go aggressive with Jinmu. You're making a lot of space there for your DPS to pop off.
Shock have worked their way in. Right up close. Jinmu now with a nano boost into the backline. Hacked up though, onto the ground. That's going to be the sound by FD God. Tries to make it work with Nisha falling. I mean, he didn't get the barrage off. The nano boost didn't get too much either. Jinmu now 100 HP, being battered back. The Chengdu Hunters are going to try and win this one out, but Jinmu ends up taking himself out in the process. The Shock, they get in for free. And of course they're going to capitalize off that, jumping in straight away. Gaga has to get something more. With FD God down, the Primal Rage committed. They want to try and force the positioning a little bit extra. It's a good bash. Violet doesn't get his Coalescence off. And now they're going to be scrambling a little bit here. The Shock are still healthy in this fight, remember, and Jinmu, not the Jinmu rat pick. It comes in clutch, but not quite. Super brings him down anyway. The bubble to split the point across, and Choi, well, he's back in the mech as well. Chengdu are definitely getting the players back online though, and with that Bionade Leave, oh my word, it opens it up.
Leave had about 8% ult charge. He was doing no damage for the first 10 seconds of coming out. And then he just finds 2 picks as soon as Choi Hyobin's defense matrix is removed from him. You leave him for a moment, give him an inch, and he takes a mile. Now he's moving over to the Echo. I like this pick. Echo Sombra, really stable, good, aggressive composition for Chengdu. Take a look at this from Choi Hyobin's point of view. He takes down Jinmu here. EMP out as well, and that was supposed to be an EMP bomb setup, I'm sure.
Yep, well,
doesn't quite work.
I mean, the fight's already continuing. This time, it's Chengdu Hunters. They're forced to use the ultimates. The nano boost onto Gaia because Leave has gone down early. Nero, quick teleport to the other side of the point. He's going to break a couple of ankles in the process, and now with a Coalescence into the Death Blossom, it does get stunned up. The damage, though, it's far too much. How do you overcome this if you're the Chengdu Hunters with the Coalescence ripping through you? The bomb is going to be dodged there. The fade. Violet just needs to play the positioning correctly. Gaga will get one before dying.
Glister's going crazy, man. He's killed 3 of them already. They've got that second tick.
EMP coming up as well. The Primal Rage pushes them back. That's the Shock with a minute 17. Just about capping that one. I mean, with the Chengdu Hunters, the swaps they were making, the ults rotating around, it was looking shaky, honestly. There was a world, you know. I could see it with the Borpa telescope, but I was looking at the wrong end.
Yeah, the Shock did well to be able to get in there. The biggest issue when you're running the Moira Lucio Winston comps is taking space without using abilities. That's the crucial element. If you're able to get into Anubis Point B without popping your D.Va boosters, your leap on the Winston, your Fade, all of the,
all your engagement tools.
Yeah, all your engagement tools. You want to save all of those abilities until you've already taken as much space as possible, and then you want to pop them at the end to close that final gap and put pressure on the Hunters. They did a great job of that. Managed to navigate this aggression from Chengdu very nicely.
Oh, we missed this.
Hack on leave. Yeah, this is while the replay, the previous one was running, and they just picked off the star player instantly.
Glister Sombra has really impressed me over the course of this playoffs, honestly. He's made
recently
drastic improvements. You can think of some key moments where he used an ult, it lost him around, it lost him a map. Every player has their criticisms, but overall the improvements and additions that Glister's added now with this Sombra pick has been amazing for the Shock.
And it matches up particularly well against Chengdu, I think. Anytime you can hack leave and isolate him, that's a massive, outsized pick. And then also, with the amount that Gaga plays Wrecking Ball, it's always going to be a good thing to have up your sleeve. Chengdu playing pretty meta comp here, though. Playing the Winston, playing the Ana. They're looking for a tempo nano boost here. So they want to be trying to give Farway as much charge as possible.
Oh, boy. What a hack if they can get out alive. If Gaga can get out, that's a huge amount of nano boost being built up there. He does indeed, he survives.
That's massive. If they can get the nano before the cold, that would be huge. Violet already down to half health, but the amount of healing that both flex supports are able to do is immense here.
Yeah, Farway coming really close now, just about 10% away, but look at Glister. Almost built up this EMP. Nano boost online. Here's the EMP. It's an aggressive play by the Shock. They're not even going to let them catch their breath, but the ultimates are committed anyway. Nano boost on to leave. He's hacked up into the corner. He gets nothing done with it.
That is a huge mistake from Farway. A major, major error. It's a nice Bionade towards the end, but there's just no follow-up even potential there. San Francisco are rolling this fight. The Shock's composition has two ultimates that can keep pace even with Farway. They've got the Coalescence and that EMP, because Glister's playing in the front lines, getting constant pocketing from Choyobin's defense matrix and from Violet as well. And for Farway to waste that ultimate, that could be a killer here. Now they're relying so much on Jinmu.
It's dodged! Oh, he did get FD God.
FD God.
It just about got FD God. That's the one target he needed. They are going to get space, though. He doesn't have it yet, and now he can come back in. He pops it instantly. The Shock are healthy in this fight. They want to fight this. Gaga so low, burst it down. Ripped through with the shotguns that Nero was wielding. Super eventually will fall in the end as well, though. That was a hack coming off onto him, locking him up, and it is Chengdu who get positioning. Jinmu forced away. Out of this fight, Leiyang going very, very low here. The Shock, they do group up here. They might have the coordination to try and take something out,
Glister's got to get away.
Leave is...
Violet hacked!
Oh my goodness, he's dominating. He's got a duplicate off on top of this one. The Shock, they're committing the Coalescence as they're coming back into this one. They absolutely want to fight this. But Leave, I mean, he's got the self-destruct sent straight up onto the corner. It's already 2 ticks gained. The Shock, they have to contest this. Now the remake kill onto Nero. The EMP, the bomb, everything, but it's pushed them in close quarters once more. Glister, he's deep within, but is he going to be able to get out alive? No is the answer. The Chengdu Hunters, it's so scrappy, but this is where they thrive.
Leave being able to get that kill on Nero takes away all of the damage that Shock would have had in that scenario. I don't disagree with the ultimate investment. It's just that they didn't have Nero's Reaper to finish the fight. That's where the primary, the tip of the spear comes from when you're talking about the Shock composition. They used the Coalescence and the EMP, but Nero had been flattened by a Korean war mech.
No ults online here. Jinmu has the EMP. A rally also to just give the Chengdu Hunters whatever they want. It is, they have to go aggressive into this, but they've got nothing to work with off the back of it. They have to try and hold aggressively. The power driver, it disrupts it. They back away for but a moment. Now the Chengdu Hunters have got a lot of space. The rally armor from Nisha as well, leading the charge, starting to play this point up. EMP online as well. That's a neutral hack. Super has to back off around this corner. He's taking a little bit too much damage for them, and the mine scattered across. This is Chengdu walking away with it.
How do you block this? They're just going to EMP you if you try and contest.
It's perfect. The Chengdu Hunters, they save the ultimates exactly when they need them. And they're going to get that capture.
That's a gorgeous round from Chengdu. It started sloppy, for sure. The investment of that nano boost was weird, and then also the EMP that caught FD God without a follow-up was likewise strange. But all of the positioning from Chengdu was sublime. They even in that kind of failed fight on A, they still took the objective and took space around it. And that forced the Shock to take a bad fight where they didn't have good positions. And that ended up being the win condition. Leave also on the Echo coming out with crucial picks. And this final EMP here is just brutal.
Yeah.
How do you recontest? You need to buy time for Violet and FD God to get their ults up.
It's perfectly timed.
And they're just EMP'd.
Perfectly timed for Jinmu.
But that's all about positioning as well. The Chengdu Hunters have complete access to the point and to every sight line other than that dark area. And so they've just pinned Shock in a corner. Chengdu's comp can play much more spread out, more individually. They have the mobility to be able to roam around the map a little more, whereas the Shock need to stick together. As soon as you start to deviate away from the pack, you're missing out on those Moira heals.
Last time the Shock were able to open up this attack with a hack, Glister catching Nisha, but this time the Chengdu Hunters have switched up their backline actually.
And the whole comp.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, they're not even running Orisa anymore. They're not running Orisa, Pharah, anything. This is a ball defense.
And they're going to look to try and fight early. You can see Gaga's already in there in the overhead map view. And he's waiting for the power drive engage. Rolls through them. Power drive into the back. He did catch it onto FD God, but they're just trying to survive now. The Shock are so low. Violet, very, very weak. The bubble to try and drop them down. Super is going to get killed here. Yep, taken out.
What an adjustment. Really nice play from Chengdu. They came up with this counter strat on the fly. And the Bionade as well. Catches onto Choyovin.
Oh, he dies though. Pushing deep into that to try and get that angle with the Bionade. They've overextended, Josh.
Yeah, and they've been punished for it. Nero coming out with so much value in the midst of that team fight. Chengdu had a great idea. It all made sense. And then they just pushed a little too deep. And this is where the Shock can look scary too.
Recontest.
They're going to recontest. They don't really have the ults yet.
Push back. It's a hack onto Gaga. Jinmu goes down. The Coalescence is going to get used. Not going to have that for checkpoint B now. Chengdu Hunters are thinking, okay, well...
That's not too bad, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, expending that ultimate, they're not going to have it now for this next push.
Chengdu are not going to be in position for an aggressive defense. But they have the duplicate, they have EMP. Glister's still pretty far away from his. And they know that Shock have all funneled into this side area. Jinmu could land a huge EMP.
It connects. A lot of targets going their way. Now Leave is free to just dish out this damage. No one is really just paying attention to him, but they're still alive in the fight. The bubble dropped down. On the low ground, Violet though with no fade. He's got nowhere to run. It's definitely good peel coming out from Choi, but it's going to be now the duplicate being used. They're putting so much pressure on Violet. They want to take him out. It's a hack that comes through. Glister, he's built it up. Now the Death Blossom, stunned up though. Nisha available, ready and waiting. It's overtime. They're pushing forwards with the ultimates with the Soundbar on top of it. FD God just trying to keep his team in it. And Nero, he's split the attention back, but he's in the backlines alone. With Leave and the Nano Boost, he's unstoppable. Popping off the shots, the Coalescence, the Shock are desperate to stay in this one. He will go down, but it's the Chengdu Hunters with the bodies. The respawns coming in. They've got everything that they could need to try and win this one out now. It needs a miracle from them, and the Shock just don't have anything else to answer.
So in the end, the Shock attack takes 3 points. It's good. Is it going to be good enough? I simply don't know. It feels like a draw. It really does. Both of these teams have been very effective of being able to accomplish point A takes. And when the Chengdu Hunters have 3 minutes on the clock, you've got to expect them to take point A. At minimum, they're going to be able to accomplish that. The Shock are now in a pressured situation where they've got to construct or at least consider what composition to be running here. If they continue running the Moira Lucio comps, they've got to be in a good position to defend B. They can't invest a ton of ultimates trying to full hold this and play for the win, I think. I mean, said that, Chengdu were a little sloppy themselves when they attacked, so maybe if you can continue to punish the Hunters' mistakes, maybe it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, this match is still up in the air. The live.overwatchleague.com pick'ems as well. You can start voting on the trivia here. Not too sure what the answer of that one is, but...
how many Pulse Bomb kills does Leave have this season? If you know that off the top of your head, you're a bigger nerd than me.
That's true, and you're a big stats nerd, so...
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think there's a human on Earth that knows that off the top of their head. Give it a good old guess, though. Good old college try, as Super would say.
Here it is. Chengdu Hunters on the attacking side. They are, going to be going out with a Wrecking Ball again. Leave. Not going to have the pocket available for him.
I don't know about this, Brent. I've seen Chengdu playing ball attacks on Anubis, and I don't think it's the best option for them. I like the Winston look. It's a much better target for the Nano. Here, if Farway builds up the Nano, first of all, he's not going to be able to build it as quickly, and secondly, it's got to go on to leave.
The Shockers, okay, they had their attention split though, and they denied a tick. Being pulled back, that's Jinmu and Gaga actually just pulling them away from the positioning. This is actually smart from Chengdu. Nero in the corner, power drive will connect, nothing to disrupt that one. Right round the corner, and it's a big Bionade. It's taken and caught onto a couple of the targets there from the Shock. They can't really push forwards with it, and it's going to be some progress gain now. A hack though onto Gaga. He can't roll forwards. He's so low, and Nero will take him out.
This is part of the problem. As Chengdu move forwards, their players become vulnerable. They get positions. That hack is phenomenal, though.
That's amazing.
That's so good.
And look at that. The Bionade comes in anyway. Still the Shock. They want to try and stop this one with Leave moving over now with the duplicate form. He's built up that Death Blossom instantly. And yes, a lot of it gets ate up, but not before Nero's taken out. A core component of the Shock's composition when it comes to them dealing damage. It's going to be missing.
FD got caught by that EMP.
Yeah.
He wasn't able to use the sound barrier in response. Okay, Chengdu, they're going to be able to take point A. And for the Shock, they've got some nice ults here. Glister is just being able to farm from an off angle this whole time, so he's close to his own EMP. They're just going to continue staggering this out for a little longer. Alright, why not? FD God has his ult. As Chengdu forge a path forwards, this is all on Leave, I think, for this first fight. He's going to be the Nano Boost recipient. He's also potentially going to have a rally too. So, extra damage, a huge amount of extra sustainability.
The Shock, they've been taking these aggressive defenses with this comp before. Really looking to try and pull the ults out. But this time they're respecting Chengdu a little bit, giving him some space.
FD got hacked.
To use. FD God is hacked into the back. It's Jinmu almost getting hacked up as well. Would have been brutal if he was caught there. Happy to give him space.
Yeah, Chengdu are just walking in.
EMP though, that's going to be a connection onto at least 3 targets, but Nisha with the rally, it did get off, but still Nero in the back. That's 3 players down, and the ultimate's committed. Both rally and Nano Boost taken away.
Where was Leityoung in the midst of all of this? He was going aggressive, trying to follow up on the hack onto FD God, trying to take the fight to the Shock, which seems like a really weird decision to me from the off-tank from the Hunters. You're playing against a team that is so aggro. They're running Moira Lucio. They're going to be in your face. It's imperative that you peel and keep Farway and Nisha alive in those instances. But alright, we're going to have another opportunity here for Chengdu. No EMP on the board for the Shock, but they have got double support ultimate. Things do not get easier. Leave no Nano, but he doesn't need one.
It's the hack. Violet had nowhere to go. He couldn't actually fade out of this one. But look at this barrier too. He's down in the sound barrier. Yes, it doesn't really get much at all. The Shock, they're in a bit of a dangerous predicament here. We see now the duplicate also being used. Okay, Super just sleeping on the job, straight into the mines. He's going to get woken up instantly though. Now 37 seconds left. Leave. Primal Rage in hand. He forced out the fade. Violet in the corner. Has to use his Coalescence now, and he will do so. Just trying to beam them down. The Shock though fully hacked up. Violet cancelled out of the Coalescence. It's do or die now. The Chengdu Hunters, a final opportunity. They've never had a better situation right now to be taking this one, but now Glister comes back in anyway. The EMP does connect. Is there enough damage though to get this kill that they're looking for? Yes, Jinmu falls.
Leave has to back off. 50% of the way
8
there.
seconds.
Nano is almost online, but Gaga and Leityoung have got to touch it. Looks like Gaga's going for it. He will activate OT, but he gets hacked as a response.
Yep, does get the Mega Health back, and Nano Boost in the back. Leave has to try and clutch this one. He does have the resources poured into him. Can he do it once more? The shots are true, but he's hacked up. He's on the ground, and now susceptible. They're putting everything into him, both teams. The damage and the healing to try and keep him alive. Violet dodging, juking, stepping sideways every single direction, but he's eventually removed. And Violet this entire time, he's built up the next Coalescence. The healing comes through and a Shock. They're just not going to be falling in the middle of all of this. It's going to take a miracle. Leityoung comes through. The mines also dropped across the point. They need something more, but not a Death Blossom. It eats it up. Nero goes down, and the sound barrier, it is late. FD doesn't catch it onto him. With Nero down and now the EMP, do the Chengdu Hunters have the damage they need?
Bionade onto Super, actually.
It's massive.
So the main tank falls. Glister 1% away from his EMP. Now just got it up. The Shock.
Another EMP.
And Leave dies.
Glister's gone though as well. This could be still so even. With Gaga hacked up, he's going to be taken out. The Shock, they're getting the spawners back. Leityoung, just one individual. He'll take the Nano Boost just to try and survive a bit longer, but the picks are going all the way to San Francisco Shock. Right here in the final moments, not a single tick gained. That one tick that they needed to take away the map, and it's going to go to a draw.
Is that our first draw at the 2021 playoffs? I believe so, if memory serves. These two teams are so even. Chengdu and Shock, they had their opportunities, both teams, to be able to take it away on Anubis, but it was not meant to be. A reminder that was, as well, Chengdu's pick. They brought us to Anubis and they couldn't get it across the line. They'll be able to pick the next map here too, but the Shock are really making them work for it. Considering the caliber all season long that Chengdu have shown us, especially actually in the second half of the season, heating up and up, looking better and better as they go towards the Summer Showdown and the Countdown Cup, placing second. They're really getting brought to the brink here.
Oh yeah, I mean, this could not have gone further right now. That draw is just setting us up for something special. The Chengdu Hunters, I believe, still get the next map pick. We're going to be heading into a short break. Obviously, on the other side of things, this series will be continuing a bit of time for the players to think about what exactly they need to do coming into this one, because the Shock, they're still leading the series 1-0.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by the University of Hawaii at Manoa. Go to takemetomanoa.org today.
龙队的坏球在高点释放了毛球禁区，现在是将整个战场完全分割开了。双方黑影星标居然扔到了一块儿。鱼竿炸弹被猎人队的堤坝吃了。等等，这是我眼花了吗？是天国的伞吗？这个火箭弹幕真是很及时啊！76号在高台开出了战术路径，直接带走了对面回声。炮台一波3杀4杀。袁氏爬上了高台，直接收走了对面2个人头。这个时候拉起炸弹门派，找谁？找到了准备进点的成都。布雷奇塔怎么一个人在这儿？他队友全在前点啊！哦，有小偷，没有人发现吗？点位被踩下来了。火箭拳、裂地拳3杀，安娜出手，军民被睡到了，他罪恶的一生可能就到此为止了。麦克雷在这读秒，读了几个？5个。还好有回缩，不然就掉下去了。闪光弹2枪带走。 奥丽莎有一球出手，西加龙5杀，这一队的温斯顿在高台爽电，而且原始暴怒马上就要好了。
We can't quite promise you the cats, but we can promise you the All-Star Vault, and it's here. Be sure to grab your favorite All-Star skins from the past before the vault closes on September 26th, and keep racking up those OWL tokens by watching the Overwatch League playoffs on YouTube all week long. It's your last chance. You make sure you don't miss out on some of those skins.
They're pretty great. They're not too shabby. The skin design team does an incredible job with those that are in the game, including the Shock skin that's in there.
Yep.
I mean, the Shock, as your two-time defending champions, have been immortalized within the game itself. And they're doing pretty well in this series too. On their way to making another lower bracket run, 1-0 up in this series. And, I mean, if we're thinking about the future here as well, Brent, I'd just like to take a moment to ask the viewers to all soak in that draw on Assault.
Okay.
Bathe in it. Enjoy it. You'll be nostalgic for that once we get to Overwatch 2 and everyone's playing Push instead. The Hunters have an opportunity here to take us to another map that is not Assault, though.
They do. It's their map pick. They get their choice in terms of what they exactly want to be going into here. But still, it is the Shock leading the series. Got to keep that always in mind. It's a big advantage heading forwards as well as we get onto King's Row. That's exactly what Chengdu had in mind, and it's an interesting one still. You can play a variety of different stuff, honestly. It might play a little bit more towards their strengths as well on top of it.
I think it would also play pretty well into the Shock's strengths too. The Shock, much like the Atlanta Reign, love to play these kind of rush-based compositions. And if you take a look at the map leaderboard presented by Xfinity, they have the second fastest time ever, and they said it pretty recently as well. So the Shock are pretty hot when it comes to King's Row. It fits their style, it fits their comps, it fits what they like to do. They've still got Super in, they've still got the same...
The Overwatch League is
FD God playing Lucio here, but I would expect a shift of composition. I mean, thus far, we've seen them play the Winston-based Lucio Moira comps. I would anticipate Super moving over to Ryan as we get into this.
Possibilities always there for the Chengdu Hunters. Okay, teasing us here with the Orisa-based comp. Gives you a bit of anchor presence, I suppose. You put Leave and Jinmu as well. A lot of off angles where you can just put in the damage to not allow the Shock to set up on their attack.
Yeah, huge amounts of poke. It's going to be very difficult for the Reinhardt shield to approach against this, if indeed that is what they go for. But it's pretty tough to imagine Shock going too much else. They could obviously opt for the Orisa-based comps, but if that was the plan, you would expect Smurf to be coming in rather than Super, I would imagine. Okay, maybe not.
Interesting.
We'll see. Just they'll have to scout it for the moment and see what Chengdu are up to. Seems their initial idea here is to run a Bat Mercy comp with Super on Orisa, which, again, I was saying earlier, the San Francisco Shock and the Atlanta Reign are about the only teams in the league that run these Bat Mercy compositions at the back to get value out of Iris and Violet, who are just incredible players on Batiste.
I don't know when the last time we saw a player do this. It was actually recently, but that's an early kill onto Super. The Chengdu Hunters, a great start for them on this defense.
The Chengdu Hunters main tanks love doing this, where they just make a little hidey hole for themselves. The reason being, in order to flush Gaga out of this position, you have to expose yourself to sightlines where Leave and Jinmu can destroy you. And talking about destruction, that's the Echo 1v1, as Leave pushes even deeper to punish Glister.
I mean, the res gets off, but again, it's not going to bring back Glister. Playing off the respawns here. Leave completely empowered now with the pocket attached to him. Nisha just making sure that he has all the damage, and not only the damage boost, just also just keeping him healed up. He's almost built up this duplicate coming into this next fight now, and the Chengdu Hunters with a massive advantage. The Shock barely even able to get past this choke point. They're taking so much damage, and that Matrix is used very early on here by Violet.
Basically just for healing, but it does also push Leave away.
The Dragon Strike into the hold! It's good timing on it. Violet's forced to use that Immortality Field, but Glister's been taken out. The DPS are just really taking over. Both Leave and Jinmu putting up some amazing performances, and look at that peel. Jinmu still not taken out, but now finally oversteps himself. just by a tad, and Glister will take him out in the end.
Gaga got trapped as well, inside the statue, essentially. A Violet's been picked, though. That's most of the healing gone for the Shock.
I mean, this is very big. Leave ended up committing the duplicate, but onto a squishier target. Wasn't quite sure what he ended up assuming the form of, but it matters not in the end. He's taken out of the fight.
Will they have any opportunity to recontest? It doesn't look like it. You've got the Sonic Arrow in there to give them a little bit of information as both teams get close to the Supercharger.
Comes too slow, right?
Yeah, it's a very slow composition. You want to be holding around the archway instead. You don't want to give up that prime choke point. And now the ult advantage starts to slip the way of the Shock. They're going to be getting closer to another Amp Matrix. Violet is deadly with those. And Nero can play a lot more aggressively now that he has the duplicate to get him out of jail for free.
Again, Gaga just playing close to the wall. He knows they have to push out if they want to try and take him out. As Superchargers dropped on either side, just trying to keep the Shocks up here. Chengdu Hunters have still got theirs alive, and that is going to be the damage overlaid on top. Self-destruct right over the corner, leave with 2. Just dodging out of the way of it. Nisha somehow goes down to that. On top of this, an opportunity maybe for them to come back into it, leave. Taking a lot of damage, Super back into the fight as well. The beam doesn't do too much, but they are taking the picks. With Nero down, Shock are going to find it hard to come back into this as a committal of ultimates. A Dragon Strike comes through, but Chengdu, they just survive. They sidestep it. Dragon Strike off to the back. That's Choi eating that up right through the wall.
Excellent play there from Choyobin. All of this space generated off the back of Glister's ultimate. Violet finds a pick on Late Young as well. Another one onto Leave. Farway falls, hits the deck, and the Shock have bullied their way in through the choke point, mostly off the back of Glister's Dragon Strike. The Dragon Strike came through and pushed all the rest of the Hunters away from the choke and made all of that room for the Shock. And they just took that space cleanly. Gorgeous play as well from Choyobin to be able to eat up the Dragon Strike, because that would have denied all of the space that they were trying to take.
Choi has arguably one of the most important roles on the Shock at the moment in terms of just shutting down the damage that's coming away from Leave. And he's been doing it to both the DPS, honestly. Now we see Leave going in again to halt into that. Not getting the sticky bombs off. Still wants to build up the duplicate. Now they've got it. Leave holding on to it for now. With Late Young getting demeched, it's not ideal, and Farway gets taken out on top of that. Losing 2 players in rapid succession. They're going to try and clutch it out, though. The beam is used, Dragon Strike to push them through, and now the duplicate on top of things. Everything being committed to this, but there's an Amp Matrix in the way. Still, Leave is tanky. It's a res on Violet, though, as space is created from that self-destruct, and a Shocker looking to try and push this one further forwards. The shield blocks that one as well. Leave sent that through. There will not be a remake kill, not on site just yet. Nero, back into the mech on top of it. We'll just be out of this duplicate form momentarily here. The Chengdu Hunters are still looking to try and fight this one, but yeah, not anymore. They're going to be backing off in the end. Gaga just could not remain any longer.
Gaga might not remain at the moment. He is so weak. Made the swap over to the Wrecking Ball to try and contest. The Shock had so many great ultimates, and crucially that opening pick onto Farway. In some sense, the Hunters did a good job of just maintaining their presence in that fight. The Shock had an advantage right from second zero.
Gaga off the map!
How does that happen?
I don't know. I don't know how that happens. The Amp Matrix was committed as well, right at the back, but the Shock just moving around it. It's an arrow that spots him, a Dragon Strike in hand. Still looks like he wants to potentially set up positioning for it, just watching the angles, but the cart is moving forward. This Amp Matrix dropped down. Good position for it. It's going to be pushing Chengdu away out of these angles, and look at that arrow. It spotted it. Dragon Strike off to the side. It's not going to get too much done with it. Still looking for it. Glister hits the headshot onto Leave. They denied a res as well. It's a brutal scenario. The shot's coming through. Nisha, just for some reason, gliding right into Glister, and now the support comes in. They just roll it in.
The Hunters look flustered. What on earth is going on with that defense? Gaga falls off the map. Nisha just gliding forwards to try and get a res without the setup being there.
Into Glister?
Yeah, he didn't have any assistance from Gaga, for example. That was very odd. Farway was essentially playing mystery heroes as well, going from Ana to Bap to Zen towards the end. They don't touch, and there's 2:23 on the clock. Things are getting hairy out in the Hunters camp.
And yeah, you're left wondering a little bit here. The 2 minutes 23 time that the Shock have just finalized there. That is a brutal time bank, honestly. Even if the Chengdu Hunters go all the way through, they tend to play these compositions that like to play slower. They're not going to be taking as often fights. The fact that both of these teams are running slower comps as well, and the Shock is still setting a ridiculous time and pace. It bodes well for the Shock. For Chengdu, we're left wondering, scratching our heads, honestly. It really did feel like, as you mentioned, they felt flustered, making some mistakes.
Yeah, maybe the pressure is getting to them at this point. But the San Francisco Shock are no strangers to this level of pressure. They do have a few new members, obviously. FD God, Glister, Nero, they haven't been up on that main stage. They haven't won a championship before.
Oh.
Bounced off the... I mean, he bounced off the ceiling, but there may have been a little bit of a boot there from Choyobin as well that contributed to it. And here's the play from Nisha's... not from Nisha's perspective, but from Glister's. He gets the kill onto Leave, and he's just... I mean, Nisha feels compelled to go for that. He's got his pistol out to try and pressure him back, but it's sloppy from Hunters.
They rely so much on Leave. So much, but of course that's a weak point. An over-reliance as well, it can be capitalized on. We see the Shock doing so. Chengdu on the attacking side, it's not over yet. This map could still be taken for them. It's a good engagement, that's so much damage onto Super. He's really quite weak, has to pop the Fortify. Leave takes down Glister, now Jinmu is right in there. No one is really keeping track of him. The shots are ringing out. The rockets definitely finding their marks. Jinmu just really causing a lot of damage, a lot of destruction, following up on the rest of his team's engagement.
A really nice push. I really enjoy watching the Hunters when they're playing the Hanzo Farah. When they can set up on multiple angles and pressure down the Shock, I think this is one of their best looks. Leave is scary on this roll too. Gets another pick onto Glister, forces out the early res. Shock are going to try and come back into this, but Super, he's the one with the clutch. He's the one with the clutch ultimate here, and he's also got the responsibility of touching the objective. Can this Supercharger go down in a safe position?
He's trying to clutch it up, but look at this, the barrage from very high up. Super's taken out. The Amp Matrix, it's good to zone him out, but already the DPS of the Chengdu Hunters. Hey, wow, I mean, they've just come here not only to play, but to win.
So the Shocker send back to the respawn. It's a great time bank here for Hunters. That's got to keep the morale up immediately. To respond back like that and take checkpoint A with 5 minutes in the clock, that's great. The Hunters can continue applying pressure here. Going perhaps a tad too deep at this point, but if they can isolate Violet, it would be immense.
They need this pick. Violet needs help as well, and now Choi will come to his rescue.
But there's no one there with him. It's not like Gaga has a Tracer to be able to play alongside. Leave is playing Hanzo at the moment, so he did as much as he could. He's bought good space for Leave and Jinmu to get set up. And they're heading towards some decent ultimates too. Dragon Strike is always good at forcing positioning. They're going to be close to a Flux and a Barrage too. Those are game-winning fights. As long as they can kite this Supercharger. They're not going to kite it, they're just going to continue pushing it. That seems bold.
Oh my goodness, they're going to need a couple more of those, Leave. With Jinmu and Gaga down, the res comes up onto Glister. They need some shots coming out from him right here, right now. Otherwise, this team fight, I mean, it's already gone the way of the Shock.
Yeah, you can back off into this. Nisha used his ultimate. They did use Dragon Strike as well, but it wasn't the largest investment from the Hunters. Nero's position is good. They're going for the Flux already before their players are really set up.
Right around the corner. I mean, none of them are dying to that.
It's a good Ant Matrix, though, to push away any potential follow-up. But Nero's position is deadly.
Yeah, the entire time, somehow FD God also gets the pick there onto Nisha. Mercy on Mercy Violet. In fact, I mean, FD God, he's tired. He's tired of it, man. He's going straight in with the pistol.
Take matters into his own.
Rat-a-tat-tat, man.
He took down both of the players in the backline, didn't he? That's the Mercy dive.
Exactly. 30 all talking smack, went for the Vengeance run in the lower bracket, apparently.
He really did.
Look at this.
Oh, that's so good as well. Picking off the Farah Mercy, essentially. I mean, Violet gets the kill, but FD God did most of the damage with that Valve. Nero's position needs to be dealt with. Gaga went and scouted him just then. But they have to make sure that the Tracer is not behind them as Chengdu
focus. That is just a deletion. Super with nowhere to run. I mean, Choi has to just try and watch the backline, I suppose, so they can't get jumped on there. Jinmu does get a freebie with the Nano Boost and the Barrage. Take out the Orisa. Look at the pressure, though. The damage is coming his way. They are getting a lot of free push here.
They're so distracted by Nero. They eventually take him down. That's going to allow them to focus forwards. But that is a great pick from Glister, equalizing things. The res is there. FD God cannot get a res on Nero because that was deep in enemy territory. But Glister is popping off.
Yeah, Glister Really just coming up clutch when his team needed it, to be honest, with those picks. Force out the res. It's not going to be there now for Farway to come back into the fight, but will go down anyway. The rockets from Jinmu. It's hard to try and deal with. So res that comes through, the mines as well to try and disrupt. Gaga right into the backline. San Francisco Shock. Kind of aware of this. They are going to be committing the ultimates on top of this one. And Nero, I mean, he's brave to be able to take this fight right now. Right against Leave. I mean, he's caught between a rock and a hard place, trying to overchase that one.
They're doing a much better job of shutting him down at this point. Dealing with the threat in the backline allows them now to fully focus forwards. Jinmu with another barrage, but he's not going to find great opportunities to get damage out there.
All locked up around the corner. This supercharger, you can see Jinmu just trying to get the angle on it. Eventually does, but it's already bought enough time and space. Now all Jinmu is thinking about is this barrage straight from the high ground.
Good Bionade as well.
Able to get anything else with this one. The Shock are incredibly weak. The Chengdu Hunters, this could be it. Post bomb, drop down, does not get the pick they were looking for, but it has forced the positioning. Still alive for now, but no more healing really available. FDGO's trying his best to survive. It's going to be Leave just cleaning up the rest of it now. Should be the capture. Checkpoint B, Chengdu with a bit of time in the bank to work with now to try and set something comparable, but, well, not going to be possible.
That did take a long time for them to crack the checkpoint B defense. They had 5 minutes on the clock coming out of A. Now only 2.5. Oh, Jinmu Genji, here we go. This was the same thing that we saw previously from them. I was listening to Matt and Mitch casting the Jinmu, I think he was playing Hanzo or something, and Matt was bigging him up, and then suddenly he goes over to the Genji.
Okay.
He does have the nano to be able to work around, but
no blade.
Leave on the long-range hit scan. They destroy Super there.
I mean, that's really good. Super's taken out. Nero still on the Torbjorn. That's going to be the South Shot coming through. The nano, the dry nano applied to Jinmu, just to get him to try and build up this ultimate. It is working. The burst damage is there, but they've only just won this team fight out. They're going to get a res up as well, so Leave back in the fight. Nice little deflect to cover for them.
And the Genji is always good at brawling past shields, right? You can dash and engage really deep as long as you have the sustainability to stay alive.
Oh my goodness, Super is
getting bullied.
So much damage. The power drive connects. FDGOD could not block it in time. It's going to be the immortality field, but they're locked up. Those mines just dropping him up, catching him in this position. Nero is in trouble. What a Bionade, and Gaga, of course, just goes straight onto him, locks onto the target, takes him out. The Chengdu Hunters, they've just got complete positioning. They circled around them. South Destruct to push them away. Somehow Gaga ends up going down in this one. The tanks are still alive. This could get dicey for them. Now we see this blade. Jinmu needs to get something else from this with the supercharger. It could be enough, but there's no more kills to be had. Still wants this one on super, but the tanks are still present. With the Amp Matrix, the healing is too much. They can't overcome it.
And now that Jinmu's used the blade, you've got to expect him to swap. Yes, he's got another nano potentially, but he's just not doing enough. The blade was countered by one immortality field. That's an ultimate for an ability. Gaga's made the shift over to Orisa. They have 45 seconds remaining. Nero's ultimates are normally amazing in these kind of scenarios. He lays them down in crucial positions just to deny space from his opponents. We'll see where he ends up laying down the molten core.
Yes, Nero going for the AFK strategy. Spamming at the angle. Love to see that on the tall pick. Trop very powerful. Now with the molten core in hand, could just let loose. In fact, he's going to do it right away. It's actually completely blocked the angle. Jinmu wanted to play pressure into it. It's such an intelligent ultimate.
Yeah, he's so good at these. It denies the flank angle and it stops the approach. But here goes the not the EMP, sorry, the nano.
Yeah, the nano comes through to halt the pulling back. Jinmu is getting the healing, but right into the rally. FDGOD, he's got the sustain, he's got the durability. They can't do anything, and they take him out. It's a D-Mech as well. Not going to have Late Young for this fight. It's a res on to Jinmu. The EMP will connect. It collides right into the Chengdu Hunters. One last attempt for them. Can Leave do it again? They're so weak. They are cleaning up. The overtime push happens. Bob in the back. It split the attention. And the San Francisco Shock, they've got no one left.
I mean, that was a phenomenal final moment there from Leave and Jinmu. Jinmu got rezzed, came back into the fight, was doing a ton of damage trying to finish off targets. But listen, at the end of the day, it's the Shock that still have 2.5 minutes in the time bank, and Chengdu have no win conditions. The best they could do is take us to back-to-back draws.
Unbelievable. I mean, if we saw that, I don't know if I'd survive. I don't know if I'd survive tonight, Josh.
It's already late. We're on Hawaii time.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm down for it, though. I'm down for it.
It would be, I mean, yeah, extending this series to the distance.
Just forever. Let's just keep going forever and ever.
Yeah, that way we'll never know if Shock get the 3P, you know? It's like, just played a perpetual match of purgatory.
Schrodinger's 3P. They both have and have not completed it at the same time because we had to... Yeah, we got stuck in purgatory.
The perpetual match. Here, well, I mean, listen, Chengdu, as possible for the draw, but for the San Francisco Shock, they set themselves up for a very nice win condition. It's only a single tick. This was, honestly, Leave clutching again.
It was.
The Bob in the back, it splits the attention. Bob doesn't care about the shield that's in, you know, they're trying to play both of these angles at once.
Look at the damage.
Yeah, he's just popping off.
He does
so many shots.
And I think this is part of the reason why Jinmu enjoys playing Genji, is because he has a player on his team that does 90% of the damage, and then he has to clean up the final 10%. It's not a really viable strat unless you are overwhelming your opponents in terms of damage and setting up the Genji. This time, though, they return back to Hanzo Echo. This was their initial starting composition, basically.
Shock coming through with this one. They only need a single tick. Looking to try and take Hotel early. Nero taking an off angle as well. Spamming them. The tri-shot's coming through, just trying to get rid of the shield. Sticky bombs on the floor as well. Has to be careful though, because look at this. You can see Leave up in the sky. He has the pocket, trying to contest it! Nisha ends up getting taken out. Did not have the flight.
Wonderful play. They halted Nisha, then they pressured him with Shoyobin, and Nero went to finish it off.
And
that's
now,
the entire team getting set up for that first hit.
It's starting to crumble. We need to see something big from Chengdu. They have to try and contest up this point. Only a single tick stands between them and a loss. You see now, Leave tries his hardest, flying right into the fray of the enemy, but it will not be enough. The San Francisco Shock, well, that is going to be Kings Row claimed for them. Leading this series now 2-0.
An enormous lead in the series for the Shock, and you can feel the momentum building. Is this the run through the lower bracket? Oh, I've got to tell you, Bren, I didn't believe. I thought the Chengdu Hunters matched up really nicely against the Shock here, and especially considering that Chengdu have been the better team over the course of the year. They've been more times to our stage finals. And sure, you could argue that they had, maybe they have a weaker region. The Shock have been so good in the regular season, but when it's mattered, when it's come to playoff or elimination games to make it to Hawaii, Shock has not stepped up so far this season. They are postseason beasts, though.
Yeah, they've done the lower bracket run before. 2019, obviously not the same team. Some players swapped in and out. But
and they did it in almighty clean fashion back then.
Yeah.
But the scenarios were different. They dominated the second half of the 2019 season. And then they stumbled in their first game, but it was only a 3-4, and then didn't lose a map from there on out. Yep. So they're not quite that level of juggernaut this year.
Yeah, well, we'll find out what's going to happen on the other side of this break right here. The Shock one map away from eliminating the Chengdu Hunters out of the 2021 playoffs. Will they stay alive? Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to find out.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Chengdu Hunters, they are one map away from elimination, and for the San Francisco Shock, one map away from a step closer to potentially filling in that fourth and final banner for Overwatch 1. Already got 2 beforehand, looking for the 3-peat now, and it would start here as well with a win over the Chengdu Hunters, pushing them deeper into that lower bracket to go on another miraculous run.
And this run of form recently from Chengdu has not been pretty. The expectations were much higher for them heading into the postseason. The 0-3 loss to the Dallas Fuel last night, and then not being able to find a win on either of the 3 maps being played so far puts them at 6 maps without a win in a row. That is incredibly unusual. As we head into our next map, which is again Chengdu's pick, the San Francisco Shock are going to make some adjustments. Arns in for Glister, Smurf in for Super as well, as they go over to a very different look. And of course, on the other end of things, they've got Twilight for FD God. So moving away from their rush-based compositions or the zombie comp, and instead going for long-range hit scan, a double flexible backline, and Smurf, who normally plays Winston for the team.
Yeah, big changes across the board. A bit of flexibility being shown by the Shock, honestly. They're not just all leaning into the rush. And zombie comps, we've seen a lot of different looks over them over the course of the playoffs themselves. And this has been a series where, honestly, you know, the Chengdu Hunters, they love to lean on Leave. They amplify his presence in the server. They invest everything into him, healing, damage boosts, anything to ensure that, you know, he can clutch out the win at the end of the day. But it's been the game plan, I think, of the Chengdu Hunters, or the teams, I should say, that play against the Chengdu Hunters. They've just been shutting him down a lot of the time. They've been taken away from that factor where Leave is able to, you know, take over the server occasionally and pop off at the final blows. Gonna need to see it here as we head into Dorado. It is one last chance for them, really, to continue this series and stay in the tournament.
I was doing a bit of nerding out last night, actually, and so forgive me a dive into the stats here.
Let's go.
The San Francisco Shock do pretty terribly, statistically speaking, when they lose a player early in the fights, but they're amazing when they get the first pick in the fights. So much of how the Shock play comes down to these early initiations. And I thought this would match up poorly against the Hunters because Leave has been phenomenal at getting those opening picks. He's been a monster. That's why, part of the reason at least, why he's been the tournament MVP for the regular season. And yet in this game, they've been able to minimize those first picks coming out of Leave and keep him incredibly mortal. He does not lead the server right now in any major stat, which is really unusual for a player of Leave's caliber. He's been dominating most of the games that he's played for the whole of the season. And now at the final hour, potentially, for Chengdu, he is getting hardcore shut down by players like Choyobin on the other side of things, making sure that they keep Leave under control. That seems to be the name of the game here. It's aggressive but also defensive look from the Shock. They make sure that they deal with Leave first before they go for these hardcore initiations.
Yeah, I mean, Choyobin, what a player. I feel like he's partitioned his brain to be able to keep track of everything. You know, it's when Jinmu's playing the Pharah, he's always managing that ultimate, making sure he has a defense matrix all the time, tracking Leave, making sure Leave can't get away with murder. Going on these little flanks, always making sure that the positioning is pushed away. And as you said, it's made Leave look mortal. They've mitigated his impact in this series. And for now, the Chengdu Hunters, they've got to find a way to try and get around that.
This map makes a lot of sense for them, though. It's a map with a huge amount of verticality. We've seen teams get a lot of success running Echo here, running Ball here, running Winston as well. All things that the Chengdu Hunters love to play. For the Shock, they're going to be a team a little more like Atlanta when we were watching them play against the Gladiators just earlier. I doubt that we're going to see Smoke come out on the Ryan to begin things. You know, maybe if they had Super in the server, you would expect them to be running Ryan defenses, but I would anticipate seeing Violet play the Brig here, and we'll have some Winston Ana looks.
Okay. Intriguing.
Oh, okay. They're going to start with an Orisa kind of feel for things. Arns is obviously brought in here to play the long-range hit scan. If he starts shutting down Leave as well, this becomes incredibly difficult for Chengdu.
I mean, he was a key component in their victory last time around when they've taken it. And
again.
Yeah, Nisha.
It's another halt, and Choyobin is damage boosted and takes him out.
It's far away. Tries to supplement the healing, I suppose, when Nisha gets taken down and takes off his head.
We have not seen very much Widowmaker, honestly, in the season, but certainly the postseason. But Arns would be the player to watch if anyone was going to do it. Take a look at the replay from his perspective.
Oh, wow.
What a jump shot. Yeah. He's so talented.
Was a core reason for their victory last time around. He is going to get shut down here. That's Gaga moving into the back line, and Nero follows up on top of it. A nice sleep. Fade away there, and the res will come through, so Arns back in the action, but that is going to be pulling him back. Gaga falls. And still alive as well. It's hard to get the line-of-sight angles, honestly, from this position that he's playing at. Especially, look at this. They're putting him under constant pressure. He needs the heals right now. It will get them. Leung ends up falling as well, and unconventional positioning as well. What a headshot! You've got to be kidding me! Hans comes through the quick 1-2. Not only does he set up the kill there onto Nisha, just a little flick around the corner. Jinmu doesn't even know what hit him.
He's probably the most talented Widowmaker that we have in the league. It's Nero with a nano boost cleaning things up as well. It all looks too easy for the Shock when Arns is hit. Usually, this season, Arns has not really found those opportunities to pop off. Teams have been a lot better at putting aggression on him, shutting him down, forcing him to play defensively. He's said before in interviews, actually, recently coming into this postseason, that he likes to play 100% aggressive, and at the moment he feels like the meta only allows for about 50% of what he's capable of. But when he gets into these kind of positions, hitting shots, and his team's peeling for him effectively.
Look at this pressure. It's a complete wraparound here. It's going to be the EMP committed. That's a lot of the players locked up down onto the ground. The Shock, they can't really fight into this one. A hack onto Arns. Make sure it just can't get away. It's good peel though. Choi again. Making sure he stays alive in this fight, but Leave is still active, still popping off. A battle of two juggernaut players for both of these teams. Leave currently seems like he has been getting the better hand of it. With Smurf falling, that's not too bad as well.
And this is the portion of the map where Chengdu's composition looks a lot better than the Shock's. It's very difficult to get good value from Orisa comps here, because you're just giving the high ground to your opponent.
Jinmu's sleeping.
Yeah, Jinmu's been slept. Is there any possibility for a punish?
Oh, I mean the power drive. I mean, Arns Bionade into that one, a damage boost on top of it. It's perfectly timed, yeah. He just could not survive that.
Gaga needs to be careful back here, though. If he ends up getting slept, nope, there he dodges it. Now he can get out for free. It was a bomb, but that was from Nero.
Nero, yeah.
Chorioban was back in the spawn queue. It looks like Chengdu is set up for more aggression.
They are putting a ton of work in to try and shut down Arns there. It's working.
It is.
The power drive initiation comes through. Gaga's just not being punished enough here.
And you can see what Arns is talking about when he says this meta doesn't allow him to play mega aggressively. With the proliferance of ball and the mobility that Gaga has, he's all over it. It's like a rash.
Arns can't really do much in the way of this one. They've been shutting down Gaga consistently, the Shock, over the course of the series, but it's mainly been off the back of Glister playing the Sombra. Now we see Nero. He's got an nano boost of his own. Let's see if he can do the damage to EMP. It connects. He's just going to be stranded on the ground and taken out initially. Gaga was also slept up, but Bionade will remove him, but Jinmu, it's going to be a nice little D-mech down to Chorioban into the stagger kill, most likely.
I'm out of here.
Yep, there we go. And Leave actually uses Duplicate, takes the Ash. They want to commit really heavily into this fight.
I mean, he's done a lot of damage there. Violet ends up just getting taken out. This is getting real scrappy for them. Ultimates, of course, Leave's just going to be popping that one off.
I'm amazed that the Shock is still in this fight. I thought they would have taken the opportunity to reset. But they take down Leung, Bionade onto Gaga and Jinmu as well.
Feels like they're getting pulled into a fight from Chengdu Hunters. I mean, this is exactly where they thrive, in this Chaos Leave. Solo, the heals, the nano boost, everything to keep him alive. Has to back off around the corner, though. Now Choi, oh, he's in trouble. Half HP, that beam just melts him. So the supercharger also went down very quickly there from Smurf. They are not dealing with Leave in really any sort of manner, but eventually that hold pulls him back.
That's a fantastic play.
Might still be available, and they do get Leave right back into the action. There was no denial to be had from this one.
Twilight has nano, though. If he can put that onto Nero, that should give them the advantage in the Echo head-to-head. But Leave just continues to do work. He refuses to get knocked out of this tournament. He's the 2021 MVP. He's not going home like this.
This is a star-level performance, an MVP-level performance from him. They needed it. You can see the Shock struggling to find answers to try and shut this guy down. Arns, he started off hot, but right now on the Ash, they're not letting him set up on these angles. They're not letting him get comfortable.
No, it's enormous credit goes to Gaga and Jinmu for continuing to apply that pressure. Arns is a phenomenally skilled player, but if he's not given the room to breathe, there's nothing he can do.
Whip shot almost connects there. Jinmu pushed back into the EMP, into the bomb. It glides right off the slope. Lei Young connects 2 with that one. Shock. I mean, Nero's committing the duplicate into this one, into a losable. I mean, the fight is already lost at this point.
It really is. That's a questionable decision from Nero. But there's only a minute left. They're going for anything. They're going for desperation. He's just staggered himself, though, at this point. And the Shock, finally, with 50 seconds on the clock, make a compositional adjustment, and Smurf goes Winston. I think they should have done this ages ago. The Orisa comps are so difficult to pull off.
They split them up. They've split them up. Twilight, I mean, he's stuck in the corner right now. The pressure that Chengdu, again, applying this one. Leave off to the side. Sticky bombs into the tri-shots as well. Now just trying to track down Choi Hyobin. Right down, up, down. All over the place.
That sounded like a cheat code.
Almost.
I think that's what Lee's been plugging.
I mean, he's been using it the entire season, mate. He's been using it the entire season. Duplicate in hand now as well. Goes straight back up to the high ground. That's Gaga knocking them all down low. And again, Leave, the sticky bombs, the damage boost. It all comes together. Gaga will fall, but the Shock now only have 12 seconds left, and they're no closer from reaching this objective.
They can apply a nano. Everything on Smurf here.
Yeah, Smurf's going to be the recipient of it. Straight up to the high ground. He needs something a little bit more. He gets the damage off on Tanisha, but healed right back up again. Leave, though, taken out. Hacked. The Bionode, everything to stop that one coming through. And the Nano Boost really didn't do too much from them when they expended that one. Off into the corner, the Chengdu Hunters have been pushed, but with Smurf falling, this could be it. They don't touch.
They can't block it. The EMP is good, but there's just no follow-up available. And even if there was, the Shock are getting forward spawns. They got the checkpoint. That is a bit of a fumble from
the
Chengdu
Hunters. I mean, a winnable scenario.
I will say, though, as soon as the Shock moved over to Winston-based comps, they found so much success. You said they didn't get very much value out of the Nano, and sure, Smurf didn't find a pick, but the space that they generated was immense. And they managed to isolate Leave off the back of it. Remember, one of the big changes here on Dorado is that Leave has come alive. If you can continue to shut him down with hacks and Choi Hyobin's pressure, Shock still have a great chance.
Won't be able to do too much here. So that's a duplicate. You can see now. I mean, Smurf's just moved right back into the back line. The Primal Rage used, but with Jinmu falling, never ideal for them. South Destruct, though, will take out Ans. Leave, not going to get much with the beam, but luckily his team is definitely collecting up on the kills. That's going to burst down that shield very quickly. Violet forced to just back away from this now. 30 seconds for the Shock. They cannot lose any more players here. Staggering would be brutal for them. Leave, the damage is done. EMP, it connects the Nano Boost onto Troy just so he can follow up on the kill onto Leave.
And that's the level of shutdown that the Shock have been going for. That's the level of respect they put onto the 2021 MVP. Now Choi Hyobin's in the back trying to finish out the Ana as well. Nisha doing a good job of peeling, though. Manages to keep the backline alive. But they've been pushed into such an uncomfortable position.
Now see overtime. Leave has the duplicate in hand. He's straight in there, right behind them. He's hoping for a kill. The Bionade is massive! Farway sets it up. The slam dunk from the rest of the team, and Leave, I mean, he's just supplementary damage at the end. Going to get that duplicate off. Of course, it's going to be just cleaning up a lot of these kills with the South Destruct that comes through, but the Shock are going to be stopped short of that third and final checkpoint. Regardless of all that, though, a hell of a push for them to be able to get checkpoint B and push it that far.
Yeah, too much of a push if you're coming from the Chengdu perspective. Remember, Chengdu are 2-0 down. There's already been 3 maps played in this series, and you could argue Chengdu are lucky to still be in this one. They have to come up with an amazing push. The pace has got to be tremendous straight out the gate in order for them to get back into this series. They're going to have to reverse sweep here. And every map pick from here on out, even if they win on Dorado, is going to be the Shocks. It is such an uphill battle for Chengdu with their tournament MVP to continue the run in the postseason. They've already dug themselves into quite the hole.
Imagine if they were able to do it, though. Not only knocking out the 2-time champions, but being able to reverse sweep as well, coming back into this. Everything set against you. There's a reason we don't see it.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often. Take a look at this replay from Gaga. Ans has just been...
yeah, I mean, look at this pressure that they're putting onto Ans.
They've just been rolling Ans. Oh, this was Smurf backing off into the minefield as well. Oh, not just backing off, but booped by Lei Young. Nice coordination between the two of them, Gaga and Lei Young there. This map certainly looking better for the Hunters. And they've done an excellent job of stopping Ans from getting value after those first what, minute? It was like the first 60 seconds, and then Ants has been a non-factor ever since they made some small adjustments.
Both teams just trying to shut down the opposing carries. The Shock now running this Winston composition again on the defense, just trying to, again, take a bit of damage, build up the nano boost. Chengdu have got space though. Jinmu off to the side, hunting for a bit of a manual hack as well. He's just going to be farming up the EMP. It's a good position to be so. I mean, he's not going to get punished and pushed away. He is really doing a lot of damage to them. Now the Shock need to find an answer into this one because this card has got a lot of progress. They're just getting pushed back.
Yeah, the Shock have not even been able to generate nano boost charge. Twilight's only at 70%. They're just going to have to go for a dry fight here without any ults on board. Nisha was bionated though, and hacked.
Ooh,
so much pressure on the break.
Yeah, but not enough for the kill. In fact, Farway just pushing forwards. I'm not sure how he even gets out of that scenario, but as they try and punish them, the Shock just get obliterated.
Farway's going crazy, man. It was Smurf that was trying to follow up on all of that damage that the Bionade did, and he got destroyed by Farway's Zen. Just headshot after headshot being piled into the Winston. And then Farway picks up another one afterwards. Another two afterwards, I think.
5 minutes.
Farway's Zen is incredibly good, and it's confused me why they haven't lent into it more. He's been playing a lot of Ana, he's been playing a lot of even BAP, whereas that was not the script throughout the regular season for Chengdu.
Shock do have the high ground now to choose their own timing to progress, but the Chengdu Hunters, a lot of time. Nano boost, that's going to be dropped onto Smurf. He's stunned up, and now he's going to be diving in. That is so much work being gained. Pops the Primal Rage. He fell very low there, but did force out the Transcendence and the Rally, overlapping over one another. The Shock going to look to disengage from this one. Just give them the space for now, and now they're going to be going back in. EMP straight away. It's only for but a moment. Do they have the damage to follow up on it? A lot of players currently can't do too much, but Leave, what a post bomb! That's Smurf. It brought him down to nothing, and Gaga, of course, just follows up the quick 1-2 combo.
They're so spread out, and Chengdu just went underneath, where Ants could not get line of sight without dropping into vulnerable territory. Chengdu outplayed them there, despite the fact that Shock had engineered a massive ultimate advantage. Sure, the Shock have high ground control, but Chengdu, the payload is still moving.
Still moving. Violet's swinging away as well. He was hacked up, couldn't get that shield bash. That's Jinmu down and out though. Presumably that's a neutral hack as well that Nero got on as well. You don't actually see it in the...
Yeah, could have just removed his translocator.
That's true, it's always an option.
Okay, now the high ground control ends up being converted into a ton of picks. Ants and Twilight finding kills.
I mean, this is...
Chengdu going for a reset.
You see the evidence, though, as to why this is such a hard point to take.
Absolutely.
And why it was such a bit of a misplay for Chengdu to try and, you know, essentially they just let the Shock take it. It's because it's hard, even with the massive time bank, to push this. A couple of shots from Twilight, off to the side. Yeah, just sniping them off.
Yep, not too bad whatsoever. Great position for Twilight and Ants to play for.
Oh boy, Bionade, Gaga. Ooh.
New adaptive shield kind of saves him there.
Yeah.
It gets activated incredibly quickly. Twilight has a nano boost though, and this is almost certainly going to go onto Smurf as he drops down into a target.
Look at Chengdu's position. Right underneath them, starting to play the card a little bit more. A lot of damage onto Smurf, there's the nano boost. Hacked up, can't actually go anywhere. The South Destruct does push them back, but now he dives right back into it again. Trying to build up that Primal Rage, while Arns was also channeling up that Deadeye just to try and push them all the way.
Been hacked.
The shots, oh my word, Farway lucky to try and get away from that one. Still has the Transcendence, but yeah, Gaga taken out.
They've almost flipped the map here. Chengdu are so far behind them.
And that's a great pick. Ons falls in the end, a lack of damage for them. The EMP, but look at Farway. The positioning was fantastic right round the corner. Comes back in, the Transcendence to heal the rest of the team. Leaf comes back in, Choi still finding two though, but he's going to be demeched in the end. The mines to clear across the point. The bubble will break a bunch of them. Choi still alive, receives the armor pack, but eventually taken out. This is going to be the push in here for the Chengdu Hunters, but ult's committed.
No
Rally
way.
from Violet. They want to go into this one, but they're going to need to come out with something massive. The damage is definitely being done. Leaf popping off. He's already got two, but Nero is back in action.
Not a chance that the Shock clutched that. How on earth did it happen? Nero went enormous, picked off 3 players, including the kill onto Leave. Getting that Tracer down in a scrappy fight makes all the difference. That looked like Hunters through and through. They had such smart positioning to start that team fight. They flipped the map completely. They got their Zen behind, like into the San Francisco Shock spawn. It was a gorgeously executed team fight. And now with 90 seconds on the clock, they're just going to try and push with the Rally.
Rally. Not much else. The point pressure as well. They're moving below them. Arns is, okay, around the side there. Actually, the Venomine doing a bit of work. How does Smurf go down there? The Discord Orb latched onto him. Jimmy was just trying to escape away from Arns chasing him.
He was just weak.
He gets rewarded from the kill.
And delivered a snack.
And now look at that. The coordination power drive into the micro missiles. Late Young takes him out. We get 2 on top of it. The Chengdu Hunters, a minute left, but they are winning this team fight out. Great positioning, honestly, from the Chengdu Hunters, all from the entirety of Checkpoint B there. They had a lot of time, of course. Remember, they had 5 minutes. It has been brought down to just 2:20 as they're pushing it now into Checkpoint C, but
incredibly similar push from both teams, actually, Brent.
Yeah.
Like, both teams being able to take Checkpoint A with a breeze. And,
oh boy.
Now Chengdu, with only 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes on the clock at this point, trying to come back in. They can't really fight with Leave dead, even though they have the EMP available.
Yeah. Crazy thing is, I always expect Chengdu to invest into the fight anyway. EMP from Nero, they don't want to let them set up. He's going to be hacking up a bunch of them. Neutral hack as well on top of it. Geiger just jumping in the corner, really couldn't go anywhere.
Serious focus on the front line too. Farway on Zen did get caught by the EMP, but they didn't even go for the back line. Just abandoned them. And Chengdu got to save all of their ults though. I'd like to see Leave on Tracer here. I think it would be so good for them to have that follow-up from the EMP. What position does Leave play from? He is a stellar Ashe.
I'm out of here.
That's a lovely kill. I'm not sure how far away gets it, but Arns falling is massive for them. There's no Mercy in play, no Resurrect available. A big Bionade onto the tanks. Chengdu can't really play this. A dive in. Self-destruct pushes them forwards. That's the EMP though. Smurf, when he's hacked up, the Primal Rage popped. This is the Chengdu Hunters winning this one out. The Transcendence is good. The Nano Boost from the Shock just to try and extend this one. They need a bit more though. And currently Smurf just being battered. Only 100 health to his name. Is going to get healed up, and they did overextend ever so slightly, but not before bringing him down. It's a trade out. They need to get a bit more though. Late Young falls, Bob into the side. Leave might be able to clutch this, but no, hacked up. Taken out of the fight once more. Still no one dealing with Farway. He's pumping in the damage. He's from this long sight line. Now the damage comes through though, and Choi is going to take care of him. 40 seconds. They're coming in with the spawners. Surely the Chengdu Hunters, they're definitely getting the picks. Nisha, where is this fight occurring? How does Twilight die in this fashion? The damage is coming through. The Chengdu Hunters moments away.
That bomb comes in, seals the deal over the top. 24 seconds on the clock, and it's Chengdu taking away Dorado. Their first map in the last 6, or the last 7, in fact, that they've been able to win in the postseason. Finally, they get one on the board when it matters most.
One map away from elimination. They battle back. Leave popping off, having a great game plan. The rotations the entire time as well. From a strategic level, Chengdu, I mean, they were the better team on that map. Absolutely.
An incredible shutdown of Arns as well.
Oh, yeah.
They bring in a star player, one that has taken the Shock to the 2020 championship, that helped the team lift the trophy last year, and they made him look like a nobody.
A non-factor. Yeah, a non-factor in the map. It does get significantly harder though now for the Chengdu Hunters. With that win, it's now the Shock's map pick, and they're still one map away from eliminating them. But if there was ever a time for a comeback, it would have to be now for the Chengdu Hunters, and what a comeback it would be. One step at a time, one map at a time. That's exactly what they're keeping at the back of their heads. We're going to go to a short break. Of course, this series is going to be continuing on the other side of things. We'll see, can the Chengdu Hunters pull off the impossible, or are they going to be sent home?
The Overwatch League is brought to you by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Going to decide quite a lot. 2-1 in the series. The Shock are leading, and well, this is looking like a monstrous comeback if they were to do it. Currently, a couple of players sleeping on the job, it seems, as well. Just trying to get as much rest in as possible, I think, before this monumentous task that's going to be ahead of them.
Get in your 40 winks, stay hydrated, make sure you get some sleep. Those are the keys to victory. For the Hunters, you'd expect their morale to actually be relatively high because that's 6 maps lost in a row. The 0-3 to Dallas, and then or not lost in a row, but 6 maps without a win. That's a better way of putting it, because there was a draw there earlier when we saw both teams head to Anubis. The problem here for Chengdu is that it's Shock's pick from here on out. And Shock have decided to send us to a control map where they'll be putting back in their main roster. So they've got Super in, Glister, FD God, and they're going to be running this standard lineup where they've been running a huge amount of the Sombra Reaper zombie comp. The map selection, too, is a dangerous one for the Chengdu Hunters. Sure, Ilios, they like to run the Pharah here and that kind of stuff, but Shock have looked phenomenal when it's come to Ilios. Their performance against Shanghai, they almost managed to beat them there, and then they closed out the series against the Philadelphia Fusion and sent home their rivals.
Yep. They've looked good when it comes to this composition, but the subs they made as well, I mean, they are essentially telling the world, including Chengdu, this is what we're going to be running. Where's your answer? Because if you don't have one, you're going home. You're out of the 2021 playoffs.
And what a way it would be to disappear. Chengdu Hunters have certainly been a top 3 team over the second half of the season, but right behind Shanghai and the Dallas Fuel. For them to not even make top 4 in our postseason, with Leave, the 2021 regular season MVP, on their team, it feels like a bit of a flop. Their fate is still in their own hands, though. It's going to require an incredible effort, but they can still come back into this series.
It has to happen here. What a comeback it would be for them to knock out the 2-time champions and go further forward in the tournament themselves. They have to win out on Ilios. Right now, the Shock, well, we've seen this look before. They like to play this. Lucio Moira, a lot of healing. Essentially unkillable, that's why it's been coined a lot of different terms. Zombie comp, new goats, I've heard, as well.
And this is very standard. The Shock just playing inside, trying to deny damage from Jinmu.
That is a great rocket. Violet gets his fate forced out early, and Jinmu, okay. What a start for them. The one target they needed still Leave, boop to the side and take it out. It's not over just yet. With Nisha falling on top of it, it is going to be the 2-for-2 to hack onto Gaga. Gaga in trouble, taken out in the end. A flip of the point here for the Shock, I have no idea. A lack of healing as Violet goes down early. The Chengdu Hunters had everything that they needed possibly to win that team fight, surely.
Yeah, if they had managed to extend it and keep Leave alive, Chengdu almost certainly would have been able to turn that. Or not just turn it, win it, convert easily. But Glister manages to hack Leave and take down the star player of Chengdu, and then the commitment is just too much. Nisha drops his way into danger territory, ends up getting picked off as well. That's a disaster to start things out for Chengdu. Again, they've given over the point and lost the first team fight.
Jinmu does have the barrage. Sailing up into the skies now, wants to try and make the most of this one. Almost the nano boost on light. What? A concussive blast, almost pushing all of them into the well, but not quite enough to get the pick they were looking for. Jinmu, the rockets, definitely find them off one after the other. Now the EMP right up into the skies. It's going to be locking a few of them down. Now we see the nano boost onto Jinmu. Leave also with the pulse bomb. That is great. Coalescence. Support ults committed. The Shock absolutely investing into this fight, but with only 4 up, it doesn't look likely that they're to win it.
Strange investment of ultimates, but a great turnaround from the Chengdu Hunters. And that was Leave finding the opening pick with his pulse bomb. Glister invested his EMP, and it caught onto the Pharah Mercy combo, but crucially, Nisha landed on the high ground, and there's no way that you can really punish him. Even if Jinmu gets hacked, his movement is still excellent. He finds a way of bouncing around like a bunny rabbit with his rockets.
Hack onto Leighton, just Playing back in. What a boob FD God! That is disgusting! He knew the boosters were up, he knew that Lei Young was returning, and he gets a freebie. The mines to return, the Chengdu Hunters are pulling out everything at their disposal to try and stop this one. And thankfully, Leave still alive and active. What a stick! The fadeaway on top of it, Leave just coming out with the goods. They had to pull out something good there, and he definitely delivered.
Leave's been crazy so far in this round. He's found them pick after pick. His pulse bombs have landed, found them crucial investments. There he goes, killing the Translocator as well, trying to apply more pressure to Glister. And as Choyobin resets, somehow the Chengdu Hunters are back into this round. It's going to be at 58-58 in just mere moments. Take a look at this replay from Leave's perspective. He finds the pick onto Violet, recalls, gets up to his pulse bomb, and just sticks it straight onto Nero.
He's too good.
He really is too good. And the thing is, throughout this match so far, the San Francisco Shock have been able to shut him down. If he starts coming alive now, it's all winnable for the Hunters.
Lei Young getting a nano boost just to keep them alive. Coalescence, it doesn't really do too much. In fact, they push the positioning around. Self-destruct over the top, and out of barrage on top. Jinmu, not too many targets really nearby, but that's enough anyway. Just pushes the Shock into those uncomfortable angles, and it allows Lei Young send in the Bionade, and the rest of the team also just follows it in.
Leave has another pulse.
Oh my god.
He doesn't miss.
There's no shot!
He doesn't miss. Takes
out Super. It's 98%. They're going to be able to get the overtime going, but Glister is found out. Translocates away back. Is anyone going to be able to touch this? Yes, Choi just about gets on top of it. But the Chengdu Hunters, ultimates for days, Leaves popping off. How the hell did the Shock make their way back into this one? It's overtime now, and taking this round would be massive for them. Glister, the EMP comes through, but Violet, he's already down. Gaga pooped into the pit. Now we see the sound barrier committed. FD wants to keep the team alive, and they've got the damage done, but enough. Surely they've done enough to try and flip this one over. The Chengdu Hunters DPS, they're still alive in this. And now we see the committal, a nano boost. Jinmu down onto the ground, Leave as well. They're comboing this up. Everything's being followed up on.
That is a glorious play towards the end there from Jinmu. Perfection, as he just rains damage down from above. God. And the Shock have no answers. Jinmu is the closer, but Leave created all of those opportunities. How do you play against a guy like Leave on Tracer when he's doing this? How do you do it?
It's so hard. It's so hard.
You can't, with your composition that is running Reaper's, the Reaper Sombra, you can't afford a player to be dedicated marking Leave. You don't have your own Tracer. And with Choyo, if you try and peel Choyobin away to permanently mark Leave, he isn't an offensive threat. And the way that the Shock's comp works, everyone needs to be working together on the offense. Look at this defense from far away, actually. Does a great job there.
Yeah. I mean, the Bionades were setting up some unbelievable stuff.
That's a perfect pick. Essentially, Violet taken down just in the 1v1. Farway doing all that damage on his own. But the round was dominated by Leave.
Here we go.
If he gets into this kind of form, he is going to be unstoppable.
Chengdu Hunters, 1 round leading. It's not even their map pick now. Chengdu Hunters looking to try and cement this comeback. It would be unbelievable if they did it. The San Francisco Shock gotta win out this round.
Here you see Choyobin using his defense matrix, escorting his team around the place. The Shock travel as a pack over towards the objective.
Nisha off into the skies there, taking a ton of damage, but healed up. Choi solo, big Bionade, just trying to dodge and juke. 3 health. No way does he survive this. He gets out of the mech. And with Violet down as well, these rockets that Jinmu is just planting into the objective. Just finding everything.
The Bionades have been excellent. There's huge value every time from far away. And they are focusing Violet really consistently. They force the fade out early, usually with Jinmu's rockets, and then they're able to punish with Lee. Okay. That has to be a misclick.
Oh yeah, don't worry about it.
You didn't even need to use the nano there. It would have been a waste if it had gone onto anyone, but especially the Mercy. Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite the Hunters.
Just trying to flex a little bit, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a disrespect play. Definitely not a mistake.
Kallista's finding it hard to get these hacks off now.
Violet bionaded again.
Yep. Has to back off around the corner. The tanks of the Chengdu Hunters are low, but look at this. What a stick again!
And he has no fade because it was forced out early by the bionade and the pressure. The Hunters are doing such an excellent job of putting pressure onto Violet.
This is crazy.
What was that rocket?
The DPS are just finding so much. Jinmu, cheeky little mid-air.
Oh, I love this strategic plan though from Chengdu. It seemed like they were really struggling on map 1 to be able to figure out a solution to slow down the game enough. And this time they've chosen not to slow down the game, but to put pressure on a key target for the Shock. How does Violet navigate this? If he pops his Coalescence, which he does, he now has no fade available.
Okay, the beatdown. Glista is in so much trouble here. Tries to go for the hack. The Coalescence committed just to keep Glista up and alive. EMP clears across the point. A lot of players hacked up now, straight into the Death Blossom. There's nothing to stop that from Nero, but they do have the bodies. The Chengdu Hunters, they're chucking everything at it. Leave still alive, an active FD God. That's a sound barrier just to try and keep them alive in this fight. They've definitely got enough picks, but how do they close this one? Again, far away, up and about. Leave. Not a connection with the pulse bomb. A rare miss from him, unable to convert that one into something else. And San Francisco Shock did flip the point as all this is going on. Still, Chengdu unrelenting. They still want to fight this.
But they still control the skies. There's nothing they can do about that. Jinmu's up here just raining damage down. Another bionade catches onto FD God and Super.
Oh my.
Jinmu's ult doesn't do too much, and they've punished the Ana. This might cause a soft reset here for Hunters.
Gonna have to rethink how they want to repush this one as well. The objective's still being played. They are gonna have to contest this one. Everyone is low though, including Violet. Coalescence is popped out of fear. I mean, he fades away. He was so low, he probably felt like if they lose this, they lose the map. But
Nisha traded for the Sombra as well. The Hunters are just scrappy, chaotic, fighting this and dragging the fight out forever.
They're pulling the Shock into making mistakes of their own. Self-destruct again, Super sleeping on top of it. It's the second time we've seen this one. He's taken out of the action again. Now Leave tracking around the world. Just firing shot after shot. The pulse bomb will miss and Nero eventually shuts him down, but space has been created for the res. Gaga hacked up, pushed away to the side. It's chaos incarnate that we're witnessing.
Is it worth it though? That's the big question. And with the benefit of hindsight, I think we can see that the Hunters have not set themselves up in a good position here. When this point first flipped for the Shock, I believe it was something like 80-20, something like that, in favor of Chengdu. Now it's a much, much closer gap, and we're in final fight territory. They've got a Nano and potentially a Barrage as well. But thus far, especially on map 1, they did a great job of getting value out of Nero's Death Blossoms. What a boop from Late Young. Denies the dive from Super.
Does deny it. Over to drop this one. Jinmu just drops in. FD got taken out. So close to the beat. Not going to have it for this one. Overtime still burning. Chengdu, you got to touch the point. They do just about get onto this one. And they're winning the team fight on top of it. Every kill going their way. The Chengdu Hunters, 7% stands between them taking this map. Reverse sweep looking so likely. If they win this one out, no one going to be able to touch it. And now the Chengdu Hunters, they've dragged this all the bloody way.
What a performance. What an insane comeback from Chengdu. They had made crucial adaptations there. I thought that looked like the best control map from the Shock. Absolutely agreed with the pick to send this over to Ilios. And yet the adaptations to put enormous amounts of pressure onto Violet and the form from Jinmu and Leave as well, the DPS players from Chengdu going crazy. It feels like this Chinese roster has really woken up.
Oh my goodness. Heading into the next map, I have no idea what to expect. The Chengdu Hunters with the San Francisco Shock. It's 2-2. Both teams being dragged out to the absolute limitations. And Leave just coming alive. We'll see if he can close it out, or will the Shock be moving forwards in the tournament. One of these teams will be going home.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Chengdu Hunters, well, they might just be doing it. Cool, calm, and collected. Composed with this one. One map away from knocking out the two-time champions. And what a way to do it. Coming back from the brink. Having to reverse sweep after drawing maps, losing maps all the way. Now is their time to shine. They can close it out here and now.
A reverse sweep would be ridiculous fashion. And there's the face on the left of your 2021 League MVP. At the end of this next map between the Shock and the Hunters, we are guaranteed to send home either the 2021 MVP or the defending champion. I mean, that is absurd that we are in this situation, but that's the level of competition as we head into the top 4 for the 2021 season. Legends like Super, Choyobin, Violet, players that have lifted the trophy multiple times in the Overwatch League, are on the precipice right now of being reverse swept and sent home. It's do or die in this final map.
Sort of players there, it seems like a bit of nerves as well on their faces, a stern expression from all of them. But again, for the Shock, they have one advantage coming into this, and it's their map pick. Havana, that's what we're going towards.
Yeah, you have your pick of the selection when it comes to Escort, apart from Dorado, obviously, but the other options, Brent, are like Route 66, and Route 66 would be excellent for Chengdu. So that their hand is almost forced here for the Shock. I think, you know, the deeper this series got, the more you start getting towards Oasis and Route and that kind of stuff, the more it does favor Chengdu. I think they've got a slightly deeper map pool, but it's the Shock selection, and they've taken us to Havana. Definitely opportunities here for them to run rush compositions. The Reinhardt defense is really common, but they're going to be starting out here on attack. I mean, I'm really interested to see what the Shock have got up their sleeve. You've got to expect Chengdu to be running Orisa comps basically the entire way through. I think the only team that runs ball comps here, if my memory serves, is Shanghai.
Right.
They do an incredible job of it, but it's much more common to see Orisa mirrors or teams playing rush.
And Chengdu on the defense side of things, 2-2 in the series. I mean, the stage has been set. Something's got to be decided right here, right now.
One of these teams will give. One of these teams will crumble and be sent home, and their season will end. Either the three-peat dream or the Chengdu zone.
Bit of information gained here. Leave's going to be spotting the entire composition, and the Shock, well, going straight into the rush. But with Choi actually on the Sigma as well.
Yeah, that's a bit of a variation. It gives them an extra safe space to play where they can block damage coming out from Leave or Jinmu. The Fire in the Hanzo is about the most amount of poke damage you could possibly get, especially when Leave is going to be damage boosted a lot of the time. Or Jinmu, I suppose, is going to be damage boosted more often, being that he's on the Pharah.
Chengdu just looking to spam them down, honestly. The Rein shield is just bound to get obliterated into this composition. And Choi Hyobin can help a little bit with his own shield, but it's going to be hard. The Shock have to like pick and choose, honestly, their times to initiate in. So much damage already. Teleport up to the high ground. They're looking to try and catch onto Farway, but look at that rock. Super taken out. And of course the collapse comes in anyway. Jinmu with all of that damage just pumping into them. The Shock going to be stopped short.
If you're the Shock and you're approaching that team fight, who do you isolate? How do you get onto them? If you try and teleport onto Leave, he's just going to jump away. You can't teleport onto the Far Mercy. It's so obvious which targets the Shock are going to try and fight. It feels almost impossible that Chengdu are going to allow you to get that opening engagement. And the longer the team fight goes, the more the poke damage helps. And so Shock feel incentivized, as I think this is the right move, to go and kind of mirror the same compositions. The big difference here being Glister, not running the Pharah.
Trying to mass this around. That's the barrage from Jinmu. Super. It's hard to withstand that kind of damage, and FD God just taken out as well. The arrows finding the marks. A late committal from Violet there with that ultimate, and they get nothing from it.
They're going to need to push Leave off that high ground position. So Glister has picked up Tracer here. They realize that the dual offensive threat is not good enough. Take a look at the replay. Leave, if he's allowed to stand on this position, is going to dominate. He can slide his way past the shields and control the entire tempo of the fight and just get picks constantly. So Glista's job as Tracer right now is to get up onto Leave and pressure him away. You can see him making that rotation right now.
Dragon comes through, splits them across the side. And it has split them. Choi was really, I mean, he had nowhere to stand. Leave does go down, but can they deny the res? That's the important factor. Trouble is that high ground position. It matters not. When the space is created, the Shock will capitalize. They push now across. Leave, though, back in the fight. And Matrix drop down and Leave. Oh, he's going to make you regret that one. Leiyan just dropping down the Gravitic Flux. And the Shock, oh, it was looking okay for them. With Jinmu falling, Super still alive.
It still could be turnable. It definitely still could be winnable here. Super and Choyobin are getting up to their ultimates. Violet close to an Amp Matrix 2. They've sustained the main brunt of the pressure coming out from Chengdu.
The dragon awakens.
Definitely an opportunity for Chengdu to come back into this. So that Sonic Arrow is going to give them good information. Constant spam pressure there on the area that Leave's trying to push. But they have a supercharger for this repush.
And Matrix is going to be used in response. They are taking a lot of damage from it, though. Spam from long range. Gravitic Flux pulls them up into the air. Leiyan taken out instantly. In fact, Jinmu will also follow suit. Left out in the open. Gaga really just trying to stop this in his tracks. But again, when you lose the tanks, you lose that kind of control and presence. And what was looking very shaky, uncertain for the Shock, they are going to capture checkpoint A. Honestly, one of the more difficult areas of this map to push through.
Yeah, the biggest pick, if you wind your brain back about a minute from now, was Nero being able to take down Leave. And then they got the punish onto Gaga as he was getting resurrected. And then once all of your players are trying to come back off the respawn, look at all the great positions here that they have. Violet's in a long sight line. They've got Nero up on the high ground. Choyobin is able to Gravitic Flux onto the high ground himself.
What a shot!
There's another one. Another Nero onto Leave.
What a shot! Nero is popping off right now. They don't deny the res, but they don't have to. If Nero's just going to kill the rest of the team, they're happy to leave live for now. It doesn't
He's going crazy.
Nero is absolutely popping off. This is a performance as well against an MVP player. And Nero as an individual, a player who coming into this season was honestly the recipient of so much criticism, honestly, from the expectations, the Shock, the fans. They wanted so much out of this guy.
He's been having a fantastic postseason. He really has. His Torbjorn, his May's been looking great. The Reaper. Jinmu makes the move over to the Genji, finds the first pick.
Backline's gone. And Leave goes down on top of it. The damage boost, everything. It's hard to even overcome this.
Nero's so good, man. He's getting that constant pocketing from FD God. And the two of them.
Oh, they've just steamrolled it.
They have. They've dominated.
These swaps by the Chengdu Hunters. Jinmu moved over to the Genji here. Now he's switching back over to the Hanzo.
Nero and FD God as well as a duo. This little Hanzo Mercy partnership that are roaming around the map. Alongside Glista, whose replay you're watching right now. These are the three newer components of the Shock. This starting six-man roster, the pop-off moments have come from the hungry new blood.
Much obliged.
Certainly delivering now. 2 minutes, 40 seconds. Nice little power drive engage. That is going to shut down Nero. It's an instantaneous res though. FD got safe with the Valkyrie popped. Off around the corner. Never Gravitic Flux into the Holt. Bit unnecessary there, as Leiyan is going to die anyway.
He's dead too soon.
A bit of a waste, and it feels like right now the Chengdu Hunters, they're running out of answers. They need something else. The grass, Leiyan just wants to try and buy time. Accretion will not get too much done. Choi now just pushing forwards. The grasp in hand, eating up the damage. This is 2 minutes for the San Francisco Shock. They haven't slowed down.
It's an amazing time bank for Havana. Absolutely tremendous pace. Normally, you're getting down to OT by the time you get to point C of Havana.
Straight over the top now, though. Power driver into the Dragon Strike is very good. It's going to split them apart. Violet in so much trouble here. Into the back line. Look at that damage that's being done, and with the immortality forced out, Leave will take matters into his own hand. Won't stop the Shock, though. They commit the ultimates off. They don't disrupt that res. It does come through, but it's only going to stagger up Violet.
Only one ult invested there, though. I mean, Gallista's possible, I'm sure, but only one major ultimate that you can build a game plan around. And the Shock is still going to be able to push back in with Supercharger. So this is still looking pretty good as far as I'm concerned. Nero has safer places to be able to play around compared to Jinmu.
Oh,
and Gaga is eviscerated.
It's an instant return of Jinmu. But Nero again, I mean, Leave is in and around, does not have the recoil for this next fight. They get the reses off on either side. Dragon Strike cuts across into the corner. Are they even going to expect this one? Right into the fray, and Leave's taken out. The damage boost on top of it. This time, high ground is going to be gained.
He's so far forwards. He's so confident.
Nero realizes they need something a little bit extra if they're going to close this one out. Link's still alive though. Beats that one up. Gravitic Flux. Is it going to be able to be cancelled? Not quite. Choi ends up using the grass and the Immortality Field just to try and keep them alive, but the spawners are back in. Chengdu are in this fight now with equal numbers.
Choyobin has Gravitic Flux. He can pluck somebody up in the air and see if Nero can finish them off.
Hunting for it. I mean, he misses the shots though. Farway is getting healing all the time. The entire time the pocket comes through. Choi.
They needed more resistance. Yeah, well, it's not just Choi. It's also the follow-up was just simply not there from Nero or Glista.
20 seconds left now though, Josh, and it looks like the Chengdu Hunters have got a complete lock on this choke point.
Yeah, Shocker barely going to be able to come back off the respawn.
He's coming alive.
The question simply becomes at this point, was it too little too late? Sure, Leave and Jinmu have heated up towards the end here and they're getting pick after pick, but the space that the Shock were able to get, that's still a good push.
It is a good push. The Shock not reaching the final finish line of this one. But you got to think back to that checkpoint A as well, when things were looking dire in terms of the ult economy, Shock having to make these wholesale switches of their composition on the back foot the entire time. And the player that has set the pace for them has been Nero.
Yeah.
The entire map. The entire map. This guy, criticized early on in the season as well from overzealous fans, and he has showed up. This postseason so far, this tournament from Nero has been amazing, both from him and Glista and FD God. These guys have turned up.
Yeah, they really have. The new additions from the Shock are popping. I mean, Glista Sombra has been excellent. FD God on the Lucio in particular, but his Mercy's not half bad when you attach him to Nero's Hanzo. Sounds corny, Brent, but I want the stories of both of these teams to continue in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot of fun to watch them both. And now we see the Shock playing what we expected them to, that rush defense. This is going to apply pressure to the Hunters immediately as soon as they come out of the spawn. They're going to hide it, they're going to crouch along here, trying not to give away what composition they're running, but I think this one's pretty predictable.
There's the final moments of Leave, actually, just the tracking of this guy. He makes it look easy.
He does. And he plays in great positions too. It's not just his aim, although his mechanics are exceptional. His timing is great, and he loves to play in these high ground positions where he can just get more consistent headshots and amplify his damage output. He's a very intelligent player. Obviously, you have to be to play at this kind of level. But what is the adjustment as a team for Chengdu to deal with this rush?
The wall splits them off, but look at this. Chengdu just back off into the corner. They get frozen up. It's a very brawly comp from them. And the double hit scan on top of this one. Those shots popping off Violet. Unable to really find safety in this one. They're rolling forwards. They are getting a couple of pickoffs from it, but no one is really dealing with Leave. This guy, when left to his own devices, of course, is going to be able to secure them 2 kills, and that is ideal for Chengdu.
Yet they may have done enough. When you're running this rush defense, you really need all 6 players to stay alive. You're just trying to tick time off the clock, of course, so it's not a disaster here for the Shock. But I think Leave should have been able to do enough to slowly now clean up the Shock players without their healing available. Leave gets another 3 in the fight, by the way. And he's forging a path forwards.
So that's a minute. It's going to be bought for them. I mean,
they know what the pathing of the Shock is going to be here. It's very predictable. They're going to speed boost and try and take the high ground early on. Take a look at things from Leave's perspective as he cleaned up his team fight. Oh, I mean, that's 3 shots, 3 kills.
Yeah. Nicely done. For the Shock, up onto the high ground. As you said, Josh, it's predictable. Chengdu know where they're going to be coming from. The Shock want to be taking a team fight right here, right now. Stopping it is crucial. Teleport. Bit of a whiff there from Glista. Doesn't actually want to be committing this one. In fact, the ultimate's now from Jinmu. He is so far behind them. The Shock, they realize this. They push forwards. The Sand Barrier used, but Late Young now it's going to be the free Gravitic Flux for him. Nothing to stop that one. And the ultimate's coming online. The Shock get nothing from it.
That is amazing positioning by Jinmu. That's what I'm saying. You know what the pathing of the Shock is going to be. They're always going to try and speed boost up the stairs to the high ground and drop down on the objective. It's flowchart Overwatch. So if you can come up with a play that disrupts that, like for example pushing Jinmu behind them so you have a constant flank and an off-angle damage, that was just incredibly intelligent. Gaga's got to be careful here though. Has to pop his Fortify and leave. Late Young frozen up. They need the supercharger to win the fight.
Big Shatter comes out. That's a lot of players hitting the deck. Super. No follow-up for the Earth Shatter. It's South Chengdu Hunters. They've got a lot of damage as well. His shield has been destroyed instantly. Choi with the bomb in the back. It clears out that supercharger and it takes out Nisha, but they are losing players. Leave is the one who needs to go down if the Shock are to have a hope in hell of trying to close this one. And instead, they cut the corners, the angles out. Jinmu's taken out from the high ground and now they can start to pressure the point. Chengdu Hunters, they're losing this battle ever so slowly here. The tanks are just so weak. They don't have the heals when it's just Farway supplementing them. They're just going to be playing into the corner.
Yeah, it's the bomb on Nisha that turns everything around. Without the Batiste, despite the good positioning and the excellent damage output of Hunters, they can't finish the fight. Super's playing on the very edge of his life there. Jinmu's popped his tag visor as well. This is just desperation. There's a minute left. Chengdu, in theory, should have won that team fight, but the death of Nisha was a death blow.
And again, Choi Hyobin, a consistent factor over the series. I mean, of course, the flashy players come out from the newcomers, but Choi, he's the player who's been marking Leave. He's the one who's been just completely making him look mortal during the course of this series.
Yeah, especially
with a bomb play like that. 40 seconds remaining.
Yeah. He may have come up with the clutch play that wins them the game here and continues their path through the playoffs. What does our MVP have? What does Leave have for us in this final fight?
There's it online. Gravitic Flux dropped off. It catches onto a lot of them. Nero, no.
The Sim Shield, it was in the way.
Yeah, and indeed, on top of that, it's going to be an Immortality Field. Violet ends up taking out Nisha. Only 20 seconds left. And Chengdu's comp, it's slow.
It really is. Gaga's getting close to a supercharger, but how do you make this work? They're just going to wait for Nisha to come off the spawn, I think. 10 seconds left. And the Blizzard already committed.
That's Leighton caught up into the corner. The heel splitting up as well. The Transcendence, he gets nothing. Still Super will fall and Leave. He's still active. What can the MVP do in these final moments? It's everything on the line. A quick dodge with the ice block. Nero just trying to win out this fight for the rest of his team. The overtime is ticking, but the Chengdu Hunters, they got nothing left in the tank. They're going to be stopped just short of checkpoint A, and the Shock are going to close out the series, progressing through and denying out the reverse sweep.
Incredible relief on the face of FD God there. The last 2 games for the Shock in these playoffs have gone to 5 maps. And in both scenarios, the Shock have made good in the final hour. They fend off the reverse sweep. And an incredible attempt it was from Chengdu, but the Shock continue their lower bracket run, giving us certain echoes of 2019. Perhaps not quite as dominant as they storm their way through the lower bracket. It's not 20 maps in a row, 4-0ing everybody, but it is a win. And a win is a win when it comes to the postseason. They keep their season alive. The three-peat dreams could still be a reality.
What an unbelievable match that was. I mean, it went to 6 maps. 6 maps between them. Chengdu denied their chance of continuing, but the Shock, as you said, Josh, that dream is alive. The three-peat still up for the taking. They're willing to go all the way. They are going to go further into this lower bracket. And, my God, I mean, just pushed to the absolute limits.
A top 4 performance as well. I mean, yesterday, they were on the brink of being eliminated and having their worst season since 2018. And now, after 2 map 5 victories, they're locked into the top 4. And they have an opportunity to go even further. For Chengdu, though, it's a disappointing postseason. There were a lot of expectations on this team. They looked phenomenal over the course of the season. They went to the stage finals 3 times. They have the MVP on their team. They've got talent in spades, but they just could not put it together. That run of maps early on, it just ended up hurting them.
Yeah, I mean, the storyline would have been amazing. It would have been a literal fairy tale if they managed to do it. Pulling out a reverse sweep when the Shock won their pick of the maps, but it just wasn't to be. Not the ending they wanted for their postseason, but at the end of the day, it is the Shock who are moving forwards. The dream's still alive, and the one player who made it possible, the one player who made the MVP look mortal. That's our player of the match presented by Xfinity. It's Choi Hyobin. This guy, the entire series long, his impact was unbelievable. Potentially even having, with the power of hindsight, the series-winning play at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in these early maps, his ability to shut down Jinmu's mirages, apply pressure to the Pharah, follow up and kill Nisha in many different scenarios when he was playing Mercy, and like you said, Brent, help control Leave. Leave did not have a bad game. He had a normal game. And he certainly woke up in the last few maps as well and let loose his shackles. But for the first half of this match, the San Francisco Shock were keeping him contained. And a lot of that is down to this guy.
Yeah.
And what a play in the final moments as well. Sending that bomb over the top to kill Nisha, allowed them back in, helped complete that point A hold, and may well have won the San Francisco Shock this match.
just kept the dream alive. Again, Choi Hyobin, one of those players that desperately wants that three-peat. The entire team, of course, as well behind them. A lot of players turning up there for the San Francisco Shock. I mean, that was a series. We have had some maps of Overwatch so far.
Yeah, we really have.
Honestly,
some incredible matches.
We've got potentially the best one yet coming up after this one.
The continuation of the just epitome of the rivalry this season. It's been defining everything about 2021.
Yeah.
Shanghai v Dallas.
I cannot wait for that one as well. We have an interview with Super that's coming up as well. We can hear exactly what was going on over the course of that series from his mouth directly. But we're going to go to a short break. We have one more match coming up. You're not going to want to miss it. Make sure you stick around. Dallas versus Shanghai coming up after this.
Nice. Nice. Go Fox, maybe. Yeah. We're out for one. It's right. Arisa. Resting. Watch kill Kree. Troi barrage. Kree. Messi. Fair. Oh.
Wow. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League.
and welcome back to Game Break, everybody. I'm here joined now by Super from San Francisco Shock. Super, what a match. Wow, congratulations on the win. That was a long one.
Yeah, that was, didn't expect it to go to map 6, and it's, always a little nerve-wracking and exciting, but what's done is done, so here we are.
You purposely went all the way to map 6 for the people, right? For the viewers?
Yeah, for the tokens, of course, of course.
Well, yeah, I mean, but still, at the end, it was a long and hard battle, but you guys won at the end, so big congratulations.
Thank you.
I really wanted to ask you, about, sort of in the regular season, I feel like, Super, you were the sort of the Rein specialist for the San Francisco Shock, but coming into the playoffs, we were seeing you more often than your counterpart Smurf, who used to be in more often in the starting lineup. So coming into the playoff, why did this sudden change happen for the San Francisco Shock?
I think just we were practicing a lot of stuff back when we were, in the mainland U.S. Before we came to Hawaii, and just the way things kind of progressed and the way we went about things, it just kind of ended up happening the way it did, and yeah.
All right. So yeah, it just happened. It was prepared though that you were coming into the playoffs. Okay. All right. I have another really important question. I know Nero, last time I interviewed him, said that he had fried chicken and that helped him get the win. What did you have for breakfast this time around?
What did I have? Oh, I had half of a sub sandwich from a large fast food chain, which I don't know if I'm allowed to name drop. So there you go.
Thank you for that. Thank you for being so considerate. So sandwich. I guess San Francisco Shock has to eat either fried chicken or sandwich to get the win.
Maybe.
So are you guys gonna continue doing that? I don't know why I'm asking you this. You know what? But yeah, it was just a fun question. I'm just gonna move on. Sorry, Super. All right. One final question for you. Yeah, with today's win, against the Chengdu Hunters, you guys are now going to be going up against the Atlanta Reign. I just wanted to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the Atlanta Reign currently in the playoffs, and what can we expect from the Shock for tomorrow's match?
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta actually looked really good today, and they beat Gladiators. I think some people would consider that an upset, but they played really well. Their DPS popped off. Everyone played pretty well, so should be a good match tomorrow.
Should be a good match. I am super excited. I think everyone watching the Overwatch League playoffs is going to be very hyped for that match. And with that being said, Super, I'm going to end the interview here. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, and I will see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, let's go back to the deck, everybody.
Absolutely. Cheers, Super. Congratulations to the Shock with that victory. They keep their playoff dreams alive. They will be the lucky team going up against the Atlanta Reign, and they will fight for everything in that match. I am super hyped for that one, but we still have one more to go here. However, before we break all that action down, let's discuss the match we just got to watch. I mean, that one went the distance, and it didn't look like it would at the very beginning of it. Emily was sweating tears and blood and tears. Yeah, that's what happens. Like if you're a Chengdu fan, like you think just your body is getting like all over the place. But that was a nail biter of a match. And I mean, we can't say that Leaf didn't try his darndest. He was out there trying and trying and trying. Now, I do want to know, though, heading into this match, I think Greenforce, you were the one saying that you do expect to see Shock probably playing that rush composition, and you also said that they might be the favorite just based on the compositional matchup we're having here. Did that come true for you?
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily in like team strength. I think Chengdu were considered the favorites going into this one and the better team of the two. But as you said, like Shock, I think they had the right compositions going up against the Chengdu Hunters. Chengdu, they did integrate the Pharah. Jinmu came in on the Pharah.
They remembered, Costa.
They remembered. They actually decided to play the better composition in this case. But that wasn't even enough because the damage wasn't quite there for the Chengdu Hunters. I think Farway struggled to hit some of these biotic grenades, and that's where you have to give credit to Chayobin on that D.Va. I think Chayobin is playing some of the best Overwatch he's done all season, similar to the 2019-2020 season when San Francisco Shock won these championships. So the San Francisco Shock, I don't want to call it Shock Magic. but I kinda do. And Shock Magic is back in the playoffs because these are some really good performances. Josh and Brent, they highlighted it in the cast as well. Glister, Nero, they are really stepping up when it really matters. These are two rookies, well, not rookies, but they're coming into this Shock team this year having to live up to these high expectations, and they really deliver here in the playoffs. Glister, of course, he played some McCree here on King's Row and hit some nasty shots, but he also played at Sombra and was big for the San Francisco Shock squad. Nero, on the other hand, his Reaper, which Danny has mentioned several times, really came in clutch for the San Francisco Shock. And the Chengdu Hunters didn't really feel like they were in control of this series at all. There were some questionable plays at times, of course. Leave, like Costa always says, he was trying to drag his team along, and on Ilios here, they started to mount a comeback. We thought the reverse sweep was in the cards, but on Havana, the San Francisco Shock, they put